Welcome to another edition of Banter and Babble. I am the Dude79, and joining me always, my esteemed colleague, Mr. Fanboytone. Mr. Fanboytone, Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year.
It is 2022.
Holy shit.
We have left the shitty year of 2021 behind, and 2021 did its thing, and said, by the way, I'm taking Betty White with me.
You really had to bring that up for
I had to,
right
man.
Away?
I had to.
Karma.
That's seriously some bullshit.
It is some bullshit.
That was like, seriously, man. She was so close to her 100th birthday.
Dude.
The 17th of January, and 2021 was like, you know what? Fuck it. It was like the dragon in Lord of the Rings just grabbed Gandalf before it fell. It was like, you're coming with me.
Say dragon.
Whatever the fuck that thing was. I don't care. What was it?
Balrog.
Sure, there you go. Balrog, a dragon. Cool.
Khazad-dûm.
What?
Nothing.
I don't even know what that is. Anyways, first of all, big shout out to Ant House Beats. That was the music you were hearing before the show. We get to premiere not one, but two of the tracks from his upcoming album.
That's right.
Unleash Theories, dropping next Friday, January 14th.
You can pre-order it now.
You can pre-order that shit now. So get it.
Spotify and do that right now.
Tricky says, hey, dude, I had the day off tomorrow. Tricky, I almost put in for it. I'm still thinking about sending an email.
Stop.
Tricky's a fucking problem, dude.
You guys are both a couple
Tricky's
of
that guy where, like, he's like the
misery.
he's the guy that in June,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't want to be the only dude that doesn't have any time left.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows I'm a sucker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sap that he can, like, drag me down that fucking hole with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always sending me a message in the morning. Hey, by the way, I took Monday off next week. I'm like, okay. And then he says, like, oh, hey, by the way, I took the third week of March off in February. I'm like, why are you telling me this shit? And now I know why. He wants me to take everything on. He wants me to waste all my time, too. And it's working. It's working.
It's working.
Probably going to send an email here in a minute. When Tone starts talking to myself, I'm going to start sending my email for tomorrow off. Because I'm a piece of shit. And this weather sucks, dude. The weather today screams take the day off. There's some bullshit today, dude.
You don't go anywhere anyways.
I know, that is kind of funny. I'm like bitching about, I don't want to go. I don't. I did go to Wendy's.
Did you get spiced chicken?
I did not.
You
I went
dumb.
with a Dave single.
Stupid.
But I did get 10 spicy nugs.
Okay, that helps.
Okay, but I mean, honestly, man. And the thing is, when I go there, I don't order just the spicy chicken.
You order half the menu.
No, she's not wrong, because you got to have something to eat on the way home.
You gotta, you
gotta have like a Baconator, a little appetizer.
Baconator? How do you eat that on the fucking drive?
I mean, I drive slow, but no, like, I always get the Asiago chicken sandwich, and then slip in the. I want the spicy filet.
I do the grilled chicken with that one.
That one is fucking
good
really
fucking
as
good.
hell. Good as hell. Ant House is talking about nice and sunny down at his end. I hope a tsunami. You know, I hope a tsunami, a little bit of water gets in your basement and maybe, kills your Xbox.
Simmer it down there.
No, he come in here talking about sun.
Come on, Mother Nature.
Now look, man, I'm gonna buy your album, but I'm not gonna listen to that blasphemy. That's some shit.
You ain't buying shit.
I buy my stuff.
Yeah, right.
I buy my stuff.
Whatever.
They don't have basements.
It's true.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But Tone, it's 2022, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a moment, I do want to bring it up because I know you've got a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of a rough start to the year, a rough finish to the year for you, and I just want you to know that everybody here, that knows about what's going on, we support you and we're with you 100%.
Appreciate it.
We're thinking about you, and we're definitely sorry for your like I said, you've endured a lot the last week and a half, and I just want to give you a moment to talk about what's going on with you.
Mm-hmm.
And because I know the community is going to embrace you, they're going to tell you that, the same thing we're all telling you, man, we're here for you.
Right. I appreciate it. And so almost 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine I've known for many years, working at the old GameStop, sadly passed due to COVID. He fought for a few weeks, it sounds like, or maybe even longer. But unfortunately, he didn't make it. And tomorrow we got to do that. We got to go to the showing. The funeral, of course, is also Friday, but I don't really have I can handle this stuff in the right capacity differently than a lot of people, but I did lose my uncle this last weekend as well too. I almost thought we were going to lose his wife, my aunt, as well too. Fortunately, we didn't lose her. I lost a great aunt who we knew has been sick for a while as well on Saturday, and then again Sunday my uncle passed on two opposite sides of the family. So we have his stuff is this weekend or starts this weekend. His showings and funerals as well too. So just a lot going on, a lot to battle and deal with. It's really unfortunate to, just process a lot of that. I'm pretty good at handling things like this. I've been around a lot of loss in my life since I was a kid, and I think more than most in some ways, I guess, but. I mean, I had my grandparents up until I was like 13 or 14 years old. Great grandparents. I knew well in my early teens. So it sucks, and I really feel bad for my cousins going through this. Especially my uncle who left behind kids and stuff like that as well too. They got to go through it too. So it's never easy. But I've had a lot of people reach out, and I do appreciate it. So yeah, just kind of going through that, and I don't want to say going through the motions. It's just been a real haze this week. Yeah, because it's just hard to process so much loss in such a small amount of time, compounded like that. Right. It's just wild to even think about. But we're getting there, right? So appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we're all here for you, and we're pulling for you, and we hope you can get the closure you need, and you're able to get through this stuff and kind of just start pushing forward and doing the best you can living your life. That's the best thing that we can do, and for them, is just to keep pushing on and living the best life we can live. So, no, man, we're with you 100%. Salute. Yep. To those no longer with us.
To one of the best here, too. So, OCP.
Yeah, man. I mean, it needs no introduction. Tonight's beverage of choice to kick off 2022 is the one and only Pigeon Hill oatmeal cream pie. And you know why, Tone? Because I love me a cream pie.
You do.
I will get right in there and drink. Slurp that cream pie, man. I love me an OCP.
Yeah, I thought that with this week, the way it's been going, instead of using my brain too much to try and figure out what I wanted to pick up, I said, you know what? Especially with the weather too, I didn't want to drive around trying to find beer, but I thought, hey, let's just go with something that I know I'm going to enjoy and smooth and would be refreshing. So the show's unofficial, beer, I guess, really our beer of choice. So
unless Pigeon Hill's watching, which they're not,
which you should be, because we love you and we want you to sponsor us and give us beer.
Yeah, we just want you to send us like 12 packs of this every month, one for every week.
Yeah, I would drink this every fucking week with no qualm.
Oh man, with the Monday night stream, I'll drink OCP all night, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Along with an edible, so I can fucking just completely lose my mind 2 hours into the stream. That's seriously, man. I know you weren't there for very long, but like, I popped an Eddie before I did my Monday night stream, which was Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a fucking dope-ass game. And that's how we segue into what we're playing.
It's true.
But, man, I popped a half an Eddie before. I was like, I'm going to enjoy the single-player game and have a good time with it. And about an hour and a half in or so, I was just like, man, I just felt like, it didn't really hit me. And then at 2 hour mark, I'm sitting there playing, I was just like, holy shit. I was like, whoa, something's up. I'm off. It hit late, but I slept good. The stream was done about an hour later. I was starting to come down a little bit, and went upstairs and then slept like a baby. So that was a plus side. But no, man, I'm glad you got me hooked on Loom. I like going over that. Man, they run that place like a fucking operation, dude. It's like a front when you walk in. It's just like this little office. They're like, "Hi, how can we help you?" I'm like, "Well, I place your order online." I'm like, "Oh, well, can we see your information?" I thought they were gonna just have somebody bring the shit out to that little office. And she's like, "Okay, you may go in now." And here's click, and the door opens, and you walk in. It's like it looks like a fucking cell phone shop. There's people everywhere. There's music playing. There's an armed security guard. I was like, "Whoa!" I didn't know all this shit was going on in here. They conceal it very, very well. But no, I'm a member there now. Big fan.
Good for you.
I'm a big fan, and I'm also a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. That is a really, really fun game from what I played so far. That is going to be the first game of my return to streaming on my personal channel. I'm going to focus mainly on single-player games.
Awesome.
And so we're starting off with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I had little to no interest in that game. Remember when we were talking about it? When we first saw the news, we were just like, what is this game? Like, wow, okay, I don't have no interest in it.
Yeah.
And then the game came out, and the reviews were stellar, and not only were critics loving it, people that were playing it were loving it.
Everybody was saying good stuff.
It shows up on people's Game of the Year's list. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I have fucking misjudged this one. So I figured, what better game to jump into? Start 2022. And so far, I'm really digging it. I'm really liking it. It's fun. The combat. The controls are a lot. There's a lot more to the combat than I thought there would be. I'm in there just button mashing, but there is a lot to take in with the combat, and there's probably, once you figure out how to utilize your team's abilities and kind of like chain them together, it's probably fucking exhilarating when you're just plowing through these hordes of enemies using all their abilities that are feeding off one another in certain ways. That shit is probably really fun. So I'm gonna get back into it on Monday. I'm gonna try to get better with the combat and not just
good, because Rocket was kicking your ass.
Rocket's on my. Oh no, I beat the shit out of Rocket in that game. That was bullshit. I had to, because Brian MX is in the chat going, "I'm unfollowing you and never talking to you again if you lose a Rocket." And I was like, well, I better fucking win.
Yeah, it was terrible.
How you use each character's abilities to help is cool. Yeah, J Hill. It's one of the things that I really like about the combat, about the gameplay, was because this could have just been a linear story game where you're just running through and people are, and your team is just helping out in various ways. You control what they do, and they all have various abilities that can be used in certain ways that are beneficial to you, especially, again, if you chain them together and focus on certain enemies with certain abilities. It's pretty rewarding. It's actually really fun. Plus, you can rank all the abilities up with ability points, make them more...
Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah. There's like some RPG elements here, and it's really good, man. And there's decisions that you make, or if you make a decision, it'll say Rocket will remember that you did this, or Gamora will remember what you chose here. There's certain little things. Now, Brian was telling me that it doesn't change the ending per se, but you kind of get little variations. Like certain things that you do will kind of alter the ending a little bit, but you're still reaching the same finale that you do every time you finish it. But it's just like different alterations. So it kind of makes it cool. You go in there and you're like, oh, I want to see what happens if I do this, or if I go with this choice. I really dig that part of it. But the combat's fun. The game looks great. It runs great. The soundtrack's fucking awesome, unless you're streaming, and you have to turn on streamer mode, and it turns off all the licensed music. I was just like, no. So I almost don't know if I should not play this game online.
It's so fucking dumb. Like,
there's so much 80s music, man. Twitch will fucking hammer my ass.
As a streamer, and I'm not looking for a conversation. I just want to say, as a streamer, if you're out there blasting music that you enjoy and giving you free fucking exposure, shut the fuck up.
Ooh.
I think it's so fucking irritating that that's a thing. Nobody's selling your shit.
Right.
At all.
Right.
If anything,
it's going to make me go buy it off iTunes.
Just
I haven't heard that song in forever.
I pay for, I know not everybody's a fan of Spotify when it comes to that side of it, but I do pay for Spotify Premium, you know what I mean? So the point I'm trying to make, though, is that that's free exposure to your fucking music. Like,
right.
I don't even want to go down that fucking rabbit hole.
You ever notice it's these old songs too, these old bands and these old people that are just like, I just need whatever I can get. I always see. It always seems like the younger generation of artists, they don't fucking care. Like, they want that shit everywhere.
You know what you do instead? You find guys like Ant House Beats that gives you free fucking music, some royalty free, and you play his fucking music, and just there's music out there to choose. I'll always say, of course, go Ant House first, but but at the end of the day, that's what you do. You find people like that that are trying to just find their niche or do their thing or hustle or whatever it is. You play their fucking music because they're not gonna be fucking crybabies about it.
Yeah, I got his shit. I got his music all over my stuff.
I've always used
on this stream. I use it for my promotional videos when I'm going live and stuff. His music. His music is diverse. That's the thing about Ant House is like you hear a track and you're like, oh, this is probably what the rest of his music is like. It's not. It's super diverse. There's all sorts of tracks that work for different types of moods. Certain. If you want a certain vibe with the promotional video or for an opening and closing. A lot of his music is really diverse. It's not all like, oh yeah, this kind of rings similar to the other time. They're so diverse. The tracks are so different, and that's what I dig about his stuff, man.
Yep.
Look what Skateboard TikTok did for Fleetwood Mac. That's perfect. That's a great one. That dude that was on the thing riding and he was drinking the juice. Shit, that thing was huge. That song rocketed up the charts. People were calling in the radio, hey man, can you play this song? That's the power of fucking streaming services and content creation. People were looking for that stuff, and I dig it. But it bummed me out because when you first start up Guardians at the menu, it's you see Star-Lord or Peter, he's sitting on his bed and he's listening to his tape deck and he's just skipping through songs, and it's all these awesome rock songs from the 80s, and you're just like, I can't even stream the menu. I can't even stream the main menu of this game because it's just him sitting there listening to all this music. I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm going to get hit with this shit. So it is what it is, but now I will shut up. Tone, now I know you probably have been playing Halo. You've been playing a lot of Halo, huh?
I haven't much this week, but I'll try to log in every day and get a few matches in. Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's all you've been playing is Halo, right?
No.
Oh, you're still doing Star Wars, Old Republic. You're still doing that on Xbox?
No, I got done with that.
What are you fucking playing?
So, and keep in mind, I just beat Horizon Zero Dawn, being ready for.
Did. I beat that before you, but go ahead.
Barely. How's that DLC?
It's awesome. I beat it yesterday.
That's what I thought. So I decided.
What have you been playing? Damn it!
I jumped into an older JRPG series that I've been eyeballing for a while. That has many sequels now, continuing the story and the characters. I believe there's 5 of them out now.
What?
It's a series called Trails of Cold Steel.
You did not start playing.
I sure did. And
Trails of Cold Steel.
Trails of Cold Steel. I tell you what, it's really getting that itch I had for some JRPG.
This guy's unbelievable. He's playing Trails of Cold Steel, and I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, I didn't tell anybody about it. I've been playing. I'm pretty sure I'm running around almost 30 hours of it.
What system are you on?
PlayStation.
I don't even see you on there. Are you offline? Are you hidden? You're a fucking scumbag. That's why he's so antisocial, but then he also doesn't want me to see that he's playing Trails of Cold Steel.
I didn't realize I was offline actually until this week. I had done that a few weeks back. And then I ended up being a couple weeks now at this point offline. But yeah, I'm playing Trails of Cold Steel. Of course, Brian, of course, because you are
not surprised at all.
Yeah,
Brian.
you are a gentleman and a scholar.
He's a man of culture.
You're a cultured man. You're a
man of
Renaissance
culture.
man. Of course you have. And so I'm playing through the series because I like the fact that it's a series that's JRPG and it continues and the characters continue. And are they? Because I tell you what, there is a group of people out there that do not agree with you
about what?
About these being bad. Like,
oh really?
There is a cult following out there for their series, and they're calling it one of the better JRPG series out there. So, anyways, I'm enjoying it so far. I just wish I had more explanation on some of the certain mechanics, but it's I like the idea of it being a world that I'm not familiar with, and they're early on, they're building this crazy world of an empire and smaller, like provincial.
What is the word? Provincial.
Yeah, right.
Provinces
I'm a
fucking
that have
idiot.
their have. Anyways, it's a cool power struggle. There's a light Game of Thrones feel to it, and I really dig that. So, but yeah, that's what I'm playing right now until Horizon comes out, and I'm gonna start Deathloop real soon too.
Tone, you take that. Hit him with knowledge, man.
JRPG is Japanese role-playing game.
Which is like Fallout, right? In Skyrim? Tone, differentiate the difference between Western RPGs and JRPGs.
JRPGs are for grandpas like me, and Eastern-style RPGs like Fallout are for the kids, basically.
Well, I mean, adults do.
Anyways. No, it's the style. So JRPGs are the old school turn-based games, like the old Final Fantasies from the early 90s, late 80s. Games like that where it's like, wait 10 minutes, take a move, strategize or whatever. That's why it's so good. It's because it's menu hell.
Menu hell. Tone loves being his menus.
Oh my
he loves
God,
being those numbers.
RPG, I love that shit. So I like trying to figure out, and that's why I'm having a problem right now. I still haven't figured out how I can break this game. I think I'm close. But what I like to do in RPGs like this is figure out a way to just be overpowered and break. And sometimes it's about being grindy, and I like them because they're grindy. But that's the difference between that and like the the Western style RPGs, which is like your Fallouts, your Skyrim.
What would you say? Witcher
like
is Witcher's
Witcher is definitely a Western style RPG. It's it's more of a it's live action.
But games like Persona, those are JRPG.
Persona's JRPG for sure. Yep.
Man, did you see? Is it Striker? Persona 5 Strikers is a part of PS Plus this month.
Really?
Yep. That Strikers, and then
Interesting.
There was another game that was that dropped on Plus. That I didn't own. Dude, this is like the first month of forever that I didn't own any of the Plus games. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's rad.
I normally have like all the Plus games. That's why I usually hate Plus. Their games are always good, but I'm like, I already own all these. But yeah, there was Persona 5 Strikers. Brian, what else was on Plus? There's Persona 5 Strikers.
They haven't come out yet, though. I haven't seen them unless it was today.
No, they're out there. They're out today.
Is it today?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, they came out yesterday. They come out on the Tuesday, the first Tuesday every month.
I didn't see him on there.
Maybe Brian knows. I know I added the other one. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. Hopefully he's able to check it out. Dirt 5. There you go. Dirt 5, Persona, Dungeon Dwarf thing. What the hell was that Dungeon Dwarf thing?
I don't know.
Some
But
other
Dirt 5's on this. So get excited, everybody.
I heard Dirt 5 is actually really good. I heard
Cool.
Dirt 5 is... Come on, man. You're a racing guy. Go play some Dirt 5.
All right.
Wow, geez. Okay. All right, so we talked about what we've been doing. We talked about what we've been playing. We talked about what we've been drinking.
Yeah.
Should we talk about what the fuck we're going to talk about tonight?
Yeah, it's been a long time, and we've managed to go 20 minutes into that.
20
right?
minutes
Yeah,
without even getting to our first topic.
There we go.
And I already know this first topic is going to be fun because Crash wants to call in. So we're going to get Crash in here not just yet. We're going to do our part first, then we're going to let Crash do his 20-minute spiel about why this is the greatest movie he's ever seen in his entire life.
Yes.
And I don't think I don't think I'd argue him too much on this. But obviously the last show that we did of 2021, we previewed our Spider-Man No Way Home, and we went and saw it the next night, and we did a quick spoiler-free reaction.
And then I saw it again the night after.
And then you saw it again the night after, and then Crash was like, fuck you, Tone, I'm going to go see it 4 times. So
how many times has he seen it?
He's seen it 4 times, he said. He said he's seen
PP.
it 4 times. Oh, Deep Rock Galactic is the other one. Thank you, Tricky. That's the other one. It's like co-op PvE game or some shit like that.
No one cares. Cool.
Wow. Okay. Anyways, Tone,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say this right now. Like, first of all, Spider-Man No Way Home has been a massive success. Pandemic be damned. It's my headphones are fucked up. I can't call in. What?
Use your speakerphone, dum-dum.
Yeah, use your speakerphone. We can't hear it. I don't think we'd pick up on us either, would we? I don't think we'd.
Let's try.
Come on, Crash.
Yeah.
Don't give me this weak ass. My headphones.
Pull your nuts out.
Pull your nuts out. But really quick, box office as of today, domestic has pulled in $621 million. COVID, what? People are gonna go see this fucking movie. Me once saw it. Crash has seen it 700 times, and worldwide, it is now close to $1.4 billion on a $200 million budget.
Just like to point out, Sony, you couldn't do that alone.
That's a valid point. Sony could not have done that alone. They have to do it unless it has Disney somewhere in there.
Yeah, Marvel got to have a hand in it.
Yeah, they got to be somewhere.
Got to have that Feige.
But first, I'm just gonna, we're not gonna dive too much into this because everyone's pretty much seen it and everyone's probably watched enough of the spoiler reviews and stuff. But this movie was amazing simply because it managed to meet and it even exceeded the expectations that I had unfairly created in my head. It was an amazing experience, ambitious storytelling that we haven't seen before that didn't collapse under its own weight. This was a really impressive movie. From start to finish. It was incredible. All the villains were spot on. I really enjoyed everyone's performance. They all were you could tell they weren't, the director and the producers were like, we want you to play it differently. We want you to play Osborn a little bit differently. These guys channeled to a T their characters that they played in the older movies, and they did great. The only character that I thought was a little underwhelming was Sandman. I feel like he was the one that really didn't get any really big moments in this one.
They just used stock footage for a lot of that.
I believe it.
They did.
I believe it.
Yeah, and honestly, I felt like Jamie Foxx was a little underwhelming as well too.
He got some cool lines, but he didn't really.
Some of his motivation.
His motivation wasn't like 100% clear and stuff.
All right. I mean, but
it was still, for me, it was Doc Ock and Norman Osborn that were like really,
clearly
really,
it's a big center. And Willem Dafoe basically said, "Hey, I'm not going to do this unless I can do some of my own stunts."
Dude.
Well, you know what I found out?
Oh boy, here we go.
Did you see that?
No.
So apparently, Willem Dafoe originally just showed up to the set and started freaking out, and they just started recording and went with it.
I believe it.
So
I mean, that's dude, and that's one thing I like about Willem Dafoe's turn as Green Goblin. Like I love crazy Willem Dafoe.
Oh,
like Willem Dafoe. He's like, I don't want to even say he's a poor man. He is right up there with Nick Cage when he goes Gonzo.
Oh yeah.
He can go toe to toe with Nick Cage. I want to see a Nick
Man's
Cage.
got range.
Willem Dafoe like square off in him, like Face Off 2. Willem Dafoe versus.
I don't think our brains can handle that.
I would melt. But no, everything was great there. In terms of what I'm hoping is no longer a secret, but the fact that they were able to work in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield the way they did, unlike the way they handled the original characters in Ghostbusters Afterlife. Both Peter Parker's, Garfield's, and Maguire's were huge parts of the story going forward at moving the plot forward, at building Tom Holland's Spider-Man and helping him. And the other thing I liked about it is they were, instead of being quick cameos, these were like legitimate full circle story arcs for both the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and for the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Even more so, I would say, for Andrew Garfield, because he got his redemption big time in this one. I mean, it was an incredible way that they handled these characters when they brought them in. Emotional entrances. There's a lot of emotional scenes. But those are the things that I really liked in the movie. They nail it. They took a premise that is ambitious in scope and scale that we have never seen before in a movie, and they fucking nailed it. And you can say what you want about the Marvel, the way they add levity to certain scenes. Does every scene need humor? I would argue not always. And sometimes Marvel is going to do what Marvel's going to do. They're kind of like Nintendo. They're going to march to the beat of their own drum.
Correct.
They're going to do what makes $1.3 billion at the box office. If I think that a scene doesn't need to be funny, all Marvel has to do is show me a check. Okay, look, this is what we pulled in on this movie, so shut the fuck up, fat ass, and watch it. Okay, cool, that's fine. Panic says, I like the Jamie Foxx scene where he told Garfield Spider-Man,
got that Miles Morales touch.
That was awesome.
Dope as shit.
And then he said something like, he goes, I would like to think that there's a black Spider-Man out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, here we go.
Because I'm hoping, was that something that maybe Marvel could take care of? Like, hey, Sony's got more control of normal Spider-Man. Can we get Miles?
Yeah, how does that work? Is it just Spider-Man in general, or is it Peter Parker? Like, I want to know the detail, like what the specifics are with what Sony owns. Do they own just Spider-Man in general?
I think anything.
Or is that just Peter Parker?
That might be a clause, because keep in mind in was it Civil War? What movie was it? It was in one of the other Spider-Mans. That you see Childish Gambino basically say, yeah, my nephew, blah, 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 is around here. We talk about Miles because he's playing, like, probably the Prowler or whatever. So that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if that's, it was Homecoming that was referenced as well, too. So
Blanco says, show of hands. Who cried when he caught her?
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm going to talk about that in a second.
Let's get into that, Tone, because I know you mentioned one of the things about, and a bunch of us
Cuddles says he liked it when it was over.
Oh, that's right. Cuddles was not a fan.
I mean, he said it was all right.
He said it was all right. Oh, okay, all right. Well, hey, teach their own. I respect Cuddles. Cuddles has a different taste in movies than most. But I
he likes
respect him, man.
RoboCop 3, so...
I mean, the way I look at it, man, is when Cuddles says something about a movie, I just think he likes Miller Lite. And so I'm just like, I'm not going to argue with the guy.
That's true.
I can't tell... if somebody likes Miller Lite, you automatically know. I can't...
Yeah, I know.
I can't change his mind. If you like Miller Lite, I can't change that guy's mind.
You can't change that guy's mind. No, I the big three spots we talked about originally too. And by the way, I did see Boots in here. Hi, Boots. I think technically she might be part of the Spider-Verse now as well too. So
who Boots is?
There. Yeah, you saw her. She's dressed up as Spider-Man.
That's
so
right. I forgot. Oh my God, you guys! If you haven't already,
time
get
out.
on social media, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or wherever the fuck ever you can find Boots.
Follow Booty Haver.
Dude, she did a Jinx cosplay from Arcane.
Who are two people that, I mean, she had some people that said you should maybe do this or something like that. But I think there was two people.
There were two people that really
pushed
that.
Really said, hey, maybe
Boots.
you should be, yeah.
And it's on Twitter. I know her Twitter handle is Booty Haver.
Yep. It's
Booty Haver.
Pretty amazing. But yes, she's part of the Spider-Verse. I'm going with that. So the big three spots for me in that movie that really got me emotionally, and I got to be honest with everybody, like this hit me hard in a couple of spots, and I know a couple of them are going to be the same for everybody else, but as a big Spider-Man fan, I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. I really do. And I'm not going to talk about 3. And again, I could do that, but I'm not. But I love...
It's not Raimi's fault. It was Sony's fault.
We know now. Right. But I love the first two especially. I really like Tobey as my Spider-Man. And when he showed up, I literally... uncontrollably, emotionally, lost control of my entire emotions, and I can't even explain to you why. I really can't. It just did. It hit me like, oh my God! Like after 20 years, we're seeing my movie Spider-Man is back.
Right.
Like it was really, really, really big for me emotionally. And I'm gonna leave the best one for last, and so I'm gonna jump a little bit when Andrew got to redeem himself when that version of Spider-Man got to redeem, and we'd called that beforehand. Remember, we had talked about that.
Yeah, we were talking about whose hand is that?
Yeah.
Down,
and when he was able to do that, I was just like, man, and just you see the look on his face, like he just redeemed himself. I'm like, holy shit, like just completely that. But the one for me that got me the hardest, actually, my most. I don't know, man. Like
he was a blubbery mess next to me when it happened.
When Aunt May was about to pass, I got goosebumps on my in my body, just like this wave of like emotion to the point where, like I said, I got goosebumps, and I'm like, oh my God, is she gonna say it? And that's the first thing I thought. I was like, is she gonna say it? And then she says right before she passes, with great power comes great responsibility. And I see I'm getting goosebumps now. I completely lost. I was just like, what? So yeah, that was I got him the hardest. You got me the hottest. Yeah, dude, it was definitely those 3 spots in that movie. It could have just been those, and I would have been happy enough. And at the end of the day, a lot of the things you said are clearly correct. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
Right.
Most everybody outside of Cuddles really loved the movie, have enjoyed it, and have like a lot of great things to say about it. And at the end of the day, this is what we wanted, which was kind of live action MCU's version of the Spider-Verse. So,
I mean, they really crushed it, man. It was great.
For what they could do, they did it.
Let's talk briefly a little bit about the post-credit scenes. The first one I love because it basically takes Tom Hardy out of the MCU. It takes his Venom out of the MCU, which is good because I fucking hate the character. I don't hate the character. I hate his portrayal of it. I hate the way Sony had him portray the character. Yep. I can't stand it. I thought the Venom movies sucked.
Not a fan.
They were terrible. And even though we saw him blipped in for a moment at the end of Venom 2, we saw him get blipped out.
Now we know why, though, because of this movie.
Right. And the most important thing is, though, even though he got blipped out, there was one little thing of symbiote sitting on there. So that allows Marvel to do what they want to do with it. Restream by on YouTube. For the record, Andrew Garfield is the best. Also, hi, Lord Tone. From
hello.
Brittany
Hello.
Lord Tone?
Britt. Yeah, well, I am a lord now.
Britt, if you're in danger, just say hi, and I'll come save you.
She's well aware, and thank you and welcome. We are glad to have you.
Yeah, Lord Dingleberry. Thank you, Blanco. That's way more accurate.
Lord Tone. Or Anthony. That's fine, too.
Jeez. Continue.
Yeah, so the second one was the big one, wasn't it? No,
the second one was the big one that tied into What If. Basically, we thought we were going to get another scene.
Right.
We got a scene. We got a fucking full-on trailer.
We got a full-on trailer. And, don't get me wrong, the Venom thing was great and cool, but, to a degree that ship has been sailed. So,
sure.
I was more excited about this because, as we know, I've been the conspiracy guy that's saying that the WandaVision, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange are all got some common threads on really even Loki at this point now too, and they sure do. And we got a full-on trailer for Doctor Strange, and boy oh boy is that was pretty amazing. And I can't tell you how I'm excited. I'm not. This was definitely the pinnacle. This is now Spider-Man is now my favorite MCU film. Period. But this Doctor Strange 2 that's coming is going to be hard hitting for me.
Dude, that trailer was fucking nuts. Not only did we see Wanda finally? We haven't seen Wanda in a minute. Wanda appears. We saw Shumagorath.
Now called Gargantos.
Is that what they're really calling him? These Gargantos?
Because Shumagorath, the name is licensed by the Conan the Barbarian comics.
Are you serious?
So yeah, and I thought Shumagorath was created by H.P. Lovecraft, but I guess I was wrong in that. But yes, it's a
Wouldn't that be funny if in the movie they do something like self-aware? What's his name in the movie? What's his one's again?
Gargantos.
If somebody says oh, it's Gargantos, wouldn't that be funny? You go, man, what a stupid name. That'd be funny if somebody said that. That shit would be hilarious.
Hey, Rose.
But then the dope-ass part of the trailer was at the very end.
Yes.
When you hear somebody, I can't remember who was talking, going, the most dangerous person in this universe is you. And then there you see evil Doctor Strange from What If, essentially the evil Doctor Strange. So now we know that What If is a part of this. It's deeply a part of it.
And that's thought too, maybe. So
that was fucking sweet, man.
And technically, I still think that's Gargantos' tentacles in 2 or 3 episodes of What If as well too.
Absolutely. I think that all but confirms that now. I mean, obviously, once we've seen Gargantos or whatever the fuck his name is, and we know that evil Doctor Strange, that's definitely who we're seeing.
I'm still doing this that we're going to see Captain Carter.
Well, I mean, wasn't there a scene in the trailer where there's somebody wearing
It's American Chavez. She's got her denim jacket. See her from the back, see the star. Yeah, she's a multiverse traversal character. But yeah,
Panic says the fact they're including What If stuff. Chef kiss.
Exactly.
Magnifique.
Anytime
Perfecto.
they're blurring the lines between other media and bringing it live action, it's different because a lot of times we've seen things typically on the other side of it, like it's live action, then they turn it into a comic or a cartoon. We're to the point now, especially with like Disney and Marvel and even Star Wars, where they're taking cartoon characters and comic characters and putting them on live action. We'll talk about that later.
I think that's really dope too, because Disney could easily just say, look, Disney Plus is Disney Plus, and people at home can watch this stuff and they can enjoy it. But they could have easily just treated it like Shield, Agents of Shield. Yeah, the stuff is here, but it's not really factored into anything.
It's technically not canon, yeah.
But now Disney's really playing smart, saying, well, look, yeah, it's Disney Plus and it's a subscription base and whatever, and it's people might miss it, but we're going to reward the people who are over here watching this stuff because it is canon. It is all a part of it.
And that, I think, is important. I think it's
really
going to continue to be even deeper than that. But the good news is, even though I was a big fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., technically, that still exists. They just don't really talk about it because of the multiverse.
Right.
So it still does exist.
Yeah,
we probably won't see anything from it, but it still exists.
Is that really Strange Supreme or a classic Raimi evil version
if
of Evil
we don't
Ash?
see Bruce Campbell and Doctor Strange 2, I swear we all should fucking riot.
Oh, man, did you know? I think Evil Dead comes out next month, that game.
Dude, I'm really excited about that game.
Co-op game? Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely talk about that when we talk about some of the games we're
Yeah, it's Me
about.
Too 70. One of the best Marvel characters that...
Oh, Agent Coulson?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Clark Gregg is...
Lots of chef kisses tonight.
Lots of chef kisses.
But no, overall, big fan of this. Can't wait for it to hit digital. Want to watch it 100 times. Try to catch up with Crash.
Yep, watch it nonstop.
Probably watch it every single night when it comes out on digital.
It'll be like it'll be a new Thor Ragnarok, a movie I watch every other couple weeks.
And see, I was kind of concerned because up until this point, Sony had been a little bit, or I'm sorry, Disney. Oh, you know what? Now it's different now that I think about it, because it's not Sony publishing the digital version. It's going to be Marvel. They're, but no,
well,
actually, no.
The other two
correct,
are not.
Right.
The other two aren't on Disney.
You're
Plus
right, because
either.
Sony's involved. Sony's involved with this. My concern was Sony was going to wait months, but Ghostbusters Afterlife just dropped yesterday. And that's 2 months.
That's Sony.
So I'm hoping we don't have to wait the usual long period of time. I just want to buy it on digital. I don't even need it on Disney Plus. I just want to be able to buy the digital version.
For sure.
But even then, Sony likes to take their sweet ass fucking time. Cuddles just said, "Who's Bruce Campbell? How do we?" Is there a timeout for Cuddles? Clearly, he's.
I don't know. If you do that, some weird multiversal event will happen.
He'll show up here and replace you if you do Cuddles 2022.
Oh God.
Well, hold on, let's make that happen. No, dope movie, loved it, and the rest is history. It's made a lot of money, and I'm sure Sony and Marvel are like, hey, how can we milk this even further? Let's get Tom Holland, give him $10 billion, and bring him back. All right, moving on to our next topic.
However, I will say, lastly, Disney and Sony are circle jerking about doing more Spider-Man together. So
I can't imagine why. $1.4 billion. I'm sure they'll come to an agreement at some point. Up next, this next movie we're talking about dropped on Netflix. I think it was Christmas. I think it was Christmas Day.
Was it?
I think it was Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, one of those two. Don't Look Up, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill, and just a lot of other big actors. This is a
we were
loaded
gonna have
cast.
Crash call in.
Oh, Crash said he didn't want to call in. Oh, was he gonna do the thing? Oh,
I don't know. Are you still? Do you want to do that?
Do you want to do a Crash or not? You made it sound like your phone was dead. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna give Crash his moment. If he wants, we'll go back.
Even with the crappy superhero king says there that day. Hey, there you go. Some honesty there. Yeah, there we go.
I did enjoy the Spider-Man movie, by the way. Made it into my top 5 Marvel movies, even with a crappy superhero.
He's not a fan of Spider-Man.
Oh, man, really?
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah.
I said it was ready. I didn't see you say you were ready. All right, well, hey, fuck it. I'm a man of my word. Let's get back here. We're not done yet. Crash, I'm going to give you, what do you think, 4 minutes?
Yeah.
I think 4 minutes is good. Crash, hop into the B&B hotline, please, if you would. You should be able to just hop in there. We'll see how, man, I hope he's got, like, his dryer running and something, his box fan on.
Yeah, I hope he's outside on like the front porch with the wind and the snow's
during the
coming.
fucking during the hurricane,
during the fucking blizzard.
Do I have to invite him? There he is. Okay, all right. Now look, it was a painstaking effort to get this set up to make sure this works as soon as I hit unmute. I believe everything is set. I'm hoping this works. 3, 2, 1. Crash, can you hear me? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? There's no way. Crash, are you muted?
Hello?
Ah,
There he is.
there he is.
Now I
Can you
heard
hear me?
him.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Can you guys hear Crash?
Hey, what's up here? I'm trying to switch this to be on like speaker.
No, you sound good. You don't
sound-
change
Oh,
anything.
there we go.
Don't change anything. You sound great. You sound great.
Yeah. Stop.
All right, cool.
All right,
Time out.
Crash. You have 4 minutes. Tell us why this is the most disappointing Marvel movie you've ever seen. Go.
Oh, the most disappointing Marvel movie? Oh, God, does it have to be MCU or is this like Marvel in general?
That's like 10 seconds.
Fuck. MCU, most disappointing MCU movie. Probably Iron Man 3, just because I expected more from it.
Okay.
Disappointing Marvel movie, like regular Marvel movie outside of MCU, I'd probably go shit.
We saw it last year.
Yeah, we saw Carnage and Venom, man. It's
Yeah,
cool.
that's
We get it.
really,
That is true. But like, what
yeah.
were we really expecting from that? Let's be honest.
Trash, and it delivered. It was terrible. But no, all jokes aside, I know you want to talk a lot about Spider-Man, dude. Have at it. Let us know your thoughts. 4 minutes. You got this.
I think the movie's just really fucking cool. And apart from all the positive stuff you guys said, which I agree with, if you're just a fan of Spider-Man and a fan of like Marvel comics in general, it's a great movie to sit down and watch. Like, it really feels like it's for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many little Easter eggs that you can pick up. And even upon my 4th viewing today, there was like a lot of stuff that I didn't pick up on. Like, I'm trying to think of a couple, but there's so many little things. Like, okay, like the characters that you would see, like the silhouettes in the sky. There's
Right.
like, I saw a doppelganger in there. I saw what I thought was Madam Web or Black Cat. There's like another
Yeah, me
Mysterio. There's like
Mhm.
so many little things that like
Mm-hmm.
pop out that, you know, like you benefit a lot from the repeat viewing, and you benefit a lot from knowing like the history and just like everything. And I think it's really cool that it's like that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you 100%. Like, that's the first thing I said. Like, I want to see this multiple times because this is the type of movie when there's just so many awestruck moments.
Yeah.
And even, you know, I don't mind the crowd going nuts. There's a lot of scenes that deserve that type of reaction. But even in those scenes or the scenes where you're just like, oh my God, that's Tobey Maguire, and you're still trying to come down from that high, you're missing things, little things.
Mhm.
And that's, like you said, that's the importance of getting those subsequent viewings, because a movie of this scope and scale with so many awestruck moments, it's really easy to miss little things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And another thing, like, just for like awesome ass characters coming back, like fucking Daredevil coming back
Yes. Yep.
is like so fucking awesome. Like Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio both being back in the MCU is like perfect.
Huge.
They were it was perfect casting to begin with, and now that it's like here to stay, it's like holy shit, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really hoping in the future we could see more of like Toby and Andrew. I hope that Sony does end up following through with like making an Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, that's getting kicked around this week.
Yeah, and he deserves it, man. He stole the show.
Yeah, the thing about
He
Andrew
actually
Garfield,
did.
he's actually, you know, obviously outside of Spider-Man, he's a very talented actor. He's a really good actor, and he really crushes the scenes that require, especially when he saves, saves MJ. It's just like, oh wow, that was a really, really good scene. Like you could see him, like, energy and the redemption that he felt. It was a fucking sweet ass scene.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah.
He definitely can act.
Oh hell yeah. Anything else stand out to you, though? I mean, is there anything else that did you have any questions? Was there anything about the movie you were like, fuck, I want to know what this is going to lead to, or I wonder if this is like, what kind of theories have you come up with in the meantime?
To be honest, the only thing that I've really like thought about is how the fuck did how the fuck did Electro get there if he didn't know who Peter Parker was?
Yeah, I think that's a continuity issue there that I think was kind of overlooked. Yeah, because he didn't know who Spider-Man's real identity was in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he knew who he was in this. So, maybe he's not a direct pull from that multiverse. Maybe there's a different multiverse universe where, him and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and he does get it revealed. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the multiverse really is kind of I don't know, is a scapegoat the right word, or easy to retcon or change things? It's kind of just like, oh, they wrote that kind of wrong. Well, it doesn't matter. It's the fucking multiverse, like.
Allows them a little freedom, for a little wiggle room if they make
mistakes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was a pretty good.
Yeah,
but
man.
yeah,
it was
a good movie.
No, man, I'm glad you. I know you were there when we all saw it, and it was seriously, it was one of those nights where you're just like, man, they nailed this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone was really prepared or really knew what to expect. I mean, everyone had expectations. I knew mine were really kind of unfair. The expectations I had set in my mind,
Right.
And for the movie to meet those expectations and even exceed it in many, many ways. Again, it's a testament to the director. It's a testament to the cast. It's a testament to the writers, and it's a testament to Marvel and their determination and their desire to create like meaningful, awesome movies. And they fucking nailed it with this, dude.
And clearly, I think at the end I'll say is that I don't think any of the other superheroes really could have a movie like this, just because we've seen Into the Spider-Verse kind of things, and in the comics and the cartoon and things like that too. But and I keep talking about Doctor Strange as well. That's another one. But there's another movie coming out this year that I'm really excited about too. That also kind of is just different than some of the other MCU movies, and I think it's going to squeeze a little bit of that kind of like this and have shades of this, and that's definitely going to be Thor: Love and Thunder. So
yeah,
I think we're gonna see multiple Thors in that.
Marvel has a lot of like just cool shit coming up, and it's nice to just have like something cool to like look at like that, because it's all fun.
Absolutely,
it's all entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
The future is bright, my friend. The future is bright. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Crash?
No, that's probably about it.
Well, hey, man, I know your headphones broke, but I think your phone did pretty good. Your speakerphone sounds good. And as always, man, we appreciate your insight, your perspective on stuff, man. We know you're an MCU guru. And so anytime you want to call in and talk about this stuff, man, we will have you on anytime, brother.
Unless he forgets about you.
Unless I forget about you, which I must have. Which I'm old. Give me a break, all right? I'm old as fuck.
Man, it happens. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. But, hey, man, we appreciate you, and you have yourself a good night, man.
Yeah, you too.
Later, homie. All right. Big shout-out to Crash for hanging out with us.
Part of the movie crew.
He is part of the movie crew. He makes a trip with us every time we go see a big flick at the theater, and he's always there and ready to go, and then he goes and sees it 17 more times when we're not around. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Who the hell threw the brick?
What brick?
What brick? Confused. I'm going to let Blanco explain that. That is why I didn't like it. I was not invited. Oh, there it is. That makes sense.
In the window? Oh, probably some random screaming person on the street.
Yeah, it was Tone being a maniac. Ooh.
6 stories up. Yeah, good point. Yeah, maybe it was Ben Grimm, Baby Blue Eyes himself.
Awesome. Okay, back to the review for Don't Look Up. This movie is about 2 Michigan State astrologists who discover a fast-approaching, planet-killing comet on a collision course with Earth. And when I remember seeing the teaser for this, remember at the beginning of the year, they had that Netflix trailer come out in like a movie every single week. And at the end of the trailer, it was, Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah,
and all they were doing
all fucking year for that to happen.
Yeah, they were getting off like that military plane, and I was like, ooh, and it was like, Don't Look Up, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a fucking sci-fi thriller. That's what I got. That's what I took. I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking rad. You got these 2 Academy Award-winning actors going toe-to-toe against some sci-fi threat. I'm like, cool. And then the trailer dropped about a month and a half before it released, and I was like, oh, this is different. And this movie was even a lot more different after watching it.
Sure was.
So the way I took this movie, man, this felt like a 2-hour SNL skit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really did. Some of the humor was a little bit more subtle. I thought it was more tongue-in-cheek and a little bit more clever. And I was like, oh, that's actually, I can see the comparisons being made there, and I can see what they're doing. At other times, though, I felt like it was a little too on the nose. It was a little too just over the top, and I liked the messaging. Okay, I like the messaging, and I do feel like
it's a good social piece.
It's a good social piece, but it was just like I almost felt like it was just it was like an SNL skit. And in that process, I mean, you get 2 really good performances from Leo and Jennifer Lawrence. I thought they were really, really good in this movie. They handled the chaos of and people just not taking things seriously, and there are certain things that I'm passionate about. I'm just like, how the fuck can this not be a major issue? How can this not be, being taken seriously? Like,
plot
what's going
holes,
on?
man.
Yeah, and but and I know there's other people who have different opinions on stuff like that, and I respect that. But at the same time, Jennifer Lawrence and Leo were great, and you have all these other Oscar-winning actors and people in this movie. I mean, it's a loaded fucking cast.
Yeah, it's a loaded cast.
You got Meryl Streep, you got Jonah Hill, you've got so many high-profile
Jonah
actors.
Hill was pretty awesome. I'd
like, and the thing is, like, I get, the reason it kind of bugged me out a little bit is because you have all these other talented actors in these roles, but these roles are like one-dimensional mashups of public figures or media personalities, and it's just like, okay, I get it, but it's so over the top, and it's so just like it's kind of cartoonish in a way how some of the characters are portrayed.
I would agree with that.
And so, like, I like the messaging in the movie, but I do feel like it's a way too loose in a lot of scenes, and it's over the top. Like, I love Adam McKay. I love him as a director. I think he's a really good director.
Yeah.
A lot of his movies are really good social pieces. They're very good, like, dark comedy vibes to them. They explore like difficult themes, but he has this edgy way of making humor out of it. I like this movie. There were some good scenes in it, but ultimately it's just like, I feel like it probably could have been better had it been a little bit more focused, a little bit more tongue in cheek than just kind of like slapsticky.
Right. I enjoyed it. It felt way too fucking long for 2.5 hours. Like way too long for 2.5 hours.
And I think that's when the comedy is just constantly goes too long.
I really actually liked all the like, I felt like for everybody that was in this movie, no matter their role, I felt like they acted the shit out of it, because you would expect that out of Meryl fucking Streep, for fuck's sake, who still is badass in my opinion. Jonah Hill I thought was fucking hilarious as shit. Leo and J-Law here, I want to say, like, it's different characters that they're playing here, and they do play them well, and it works. Like, Leo has range. We know
Leo
that.
can do whatever he wants.
And it still works. J-Law was the one I was like, I haven't seen her play a role like this in kind of a minute or something like that. This is kind of a different role that you usually see her in, or I felt. And it was great to see her in that kind of role. Now, she's not pictured here, but I just want to say real quick, Cate Blanchett, I love you. You can literally do no wrong.
Yeah.
And if you ever feel like that someday at the end of our days, you want to, maybe get married or something, Cate Blanchett, let me know. Okay.
But her and Tyler Perry were hilarious.
Dude, they were fucking hilarious.
I didn't realize Michael Chiklis was in this. Michael Chiklis from The Shield.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, like I said, everybody in this movie knows exactly who they're channeling. Everyone knows who they're portraying. Like, I get it.
We get it.
And it was just, but like, I think Panic makes a really good point. It was kind of like an idiocracy, over the top social commentary, over the top and accurate. Like I said, I feel like it was accurate. I just feel like the humor could have been more tongue in cheek. It could have been a little bit more clever, considering the people involved. Even not just the director and the writers, but the cast.
I didn't expect it to be so like fucking like over the top.
Yeah, it's really slapstick.
I didn't really expect it. I thought it was either going to be a serious movie or just a lighthearted film, and I was like, this is the direction we're going. Okay, fine.
I am 100% convinced that Adam McKay said, Jonah, you don't even have any lines. We don't have a script for you, just improv.
Dude, he was... you might be right on that, because...
Dude, that was all improv.
Some of the shit he was doing, like... what did he say? I really like your hair. Like, just like, all this shit he was doing, I'm like, what the fuck is Jonah... Like, he was literally my favorite character outside of... Hi, Cate Blanchett, I love you. I just want you to know that someday... no, but seriously, yeah, listen, I enjoyed the movie. It was all right. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
It's unforgettable. Unfortunately, I feel like I'll probably not watch it again. I do feel like I should watch it again. Just because I feel like it deserves another watch through.
I think the runtime is the issue.
But yeah, it's kind of a long. Yeah, and the funniest over the top part was at the end when all the rich that was fucking hilarious.
I feel like that, and honestly, though, the thing is, like, it was hilarious, but that is almost kind of like the scariest part.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like if it came down to a doomsday scenario, I'm not getting on a I'm not gonna be welcome on a fucking ship if there is one. I'm not gonna be welcome on the Ark.
I thought the ending when they're sitting there in their little home in Lansing, by the way.
Yes.
And that whole entire scene, I thought that was like, the way they portrayed that entire scene had a lot of like, just really grounded.
Yep.
And it almost like it definitely didn't fit the rest of the movie.
Mm-mm.
But I also at the same time felt like it was kind of needed. Like you almost kind of needed it because it
brings it down to earth. It brings it
right. That was finally the first time I felt like I was really caring about the movie.
I think that's what's interesting about it. I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's a good point because the most of the movie it's dealing with this serious situation and everyone's just fuck off, just kind of like how society is now. We're just kind of like, whatever, we'll be fine. Everything's it's just more about what's going on social media with celebrities, and that's the focus. But when the reality of the situation approaches and it starts to sink in, you have that moment where you're just like, oh,
clarity.
Yeah, it's that moment of clarity, and that's exactly what that scene is. That's that moment of clarity. Like, man, we really fucked up.
Well, they
you know what I mean?
I
think what they meant, like, just in general society, like we as a civilization, we have fucked up. We didn't take the threat seriously, and it is what it is. World ends only. Stream that survive is being.
I'm cool with that.
I'm cool with that.
We'll be here.
We'll be here live drinking radioactive beer, and
yeah,
I'm cool with that. But no, yeah,
cool
it was. There, like I said, there are some cool things that they explore here. There are some really clever stuff going on, but for the most part, like you said, I think it's just one of those movies where I probably won't watch it again. I feel like Adam McKay has done better. I feel like Leo and the entire cast has been involved in better movies. But I mean, everyone's having fun. There's no doubt about that. Everyone's having fun making this movie.
Jonah stole the show for me, though.
Jonah, I'm 100% convinced was just all improv.
Dude,
he was on a roll through the whole movie. So it's if you're into social commentary. And it really just depends on which way you lean. If there's gonna be people who might see this as offensive or a dig at them. There's gonna be other people who are gonna look at it and be like, oh yeah, and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of good performances. Mainly from Leo and Jennifer Lawrence, and everyone else plays their parts. As you would expect in like a kind of an SNL skit. It's 2.5 hours, a little bit longer than I would have liked for the type of movie that it is. Had this been a sci-fi thriller, you could have made it with this cast, make it 6 hours long, and I would have watched it. It is what it is. We want to get your thoughts on it. If you have watched it or if you do watch it, let us know in the comments whether you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify. I'll have a question on Spotify. Did you know on Spotify I can throw a poll question out and ask a question from that based on that, like whatever we talk about that week, and people can reply.
If you guys haven't followed us on Spotify, I highly recommend it, and we'll talk about that
and
later.
And big shout out to the folks over on iTunes. We got the reviews. We had a couple written reviews.
Yeah, we appreciate all that stuff, guys.
Y'all answered the call. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. And that does help the show reach over a little bit wider audience when we have really good reviews, especially if people write them.
Especially if you're writing stuff. Yeah, we appreciate that, dude.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Moving on to the big topic. Movie-wise. Tone, you've been waiting for quite some time. You are a staunch supporter and defender of the original trilogy.
Correct. You
know that after the first one, 2 and 3 were tougher pills to swallow for some people. But The Matrix Resurrections is out. It's available now in theaters. I don't think it did well at theaters. It did most of its business on HBO Max.
Why would it not, right?
But I actually watched this. Was it last night or the night before? Can't remember.
Can't remember because your life's a blur.
It was last night because that's why I was sleeping all day today.
Yeah, you were asking me questions late.
I asked you some questions because I was trying to figure out what was going on. But I'm going to just touch on this briefly. I'm going to let Tone, because I know he's got a lot to say about this. I'll have some questions as he's talking about it. But here's my thoughts on The Matrix Resurrections. I am a huge fan. Let me preface this by saying I'm a huge fan of the first Matrix. Love the movie. Love the storytelling. Love the action. I love everything about the movie. It was such a thought-provoking movie.
Movie, right?
What's that?
Movie.
The movie. Saw the second one, more action. I was like, okay, I'm kind of losing it. Third one, I'm disinterested. I was like, okay, this is whatever. It didn't grab me like it did you and Prime and a lot of other people. And that's fine. Going into this movie, I wanted to be open-minded. I wanted to be objective. I wanted to look at it and be like, okay, let's see how this movie does. And I will say this early on, probably the first half of the movie, it's a little bit more exposition. There's a lot of talk, a lot of explaining things going on to try to get you caught up on the unique meta approach that they did with this movie in terms of like explaining what Neo's been doing and how they've been able to kind of suppress his thoughts and to kind of how they got him back into the Matrix without him realizing, hey, I can fuck all this shit up anytime I want to. The meta side of it, how they explain that he's basically taking his memories of what happened in the original movies, and they I don't want to say they trick him, but they programmed him to believe or whatever when he got into the Matrix that you were involved in this stuff, but you were making a video game.
All your memories are from a video game.
All your memories are from a video game. Now, look, I think that stuff's cool. It's very meta, and it reminds me a little bit of Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. Like, they find a way to take what actually happened and kind of spin it around and put it into a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And I like that part of it. I really did. I was like, okay, I can get on board with this. I like that stuff.
From Neil's perspective.
From Neil's perspective.
Yes.
And so I appreciated the exposition. A lot of the scenes with Neil Patrick Harris, and even the guy who was playing Agent Smith, or whatever his name was, I appreciated that stuff. So I thought that part of it was important because it not only sets up this movie, it sets up whatever they may do going forward, just to kind of give you the ground rules and the basis of what's going on. However, there is a point in the movie where Neo and Niobe and all them have worked up a plan to go get Trinity, and it's at that point in the movie where it completely lost me. It just turns into the one thing I love about the original Matrix is that movie did set a bar for the way action is portrayed in movies.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a mind-blowing movie in terms of its action, and I love that part of it. But this one, I felt like the action was really underwhelming. It felt sloppy. It felt rushed, especially the whole break in and rescue Trinity. They're talking about like this really dangerous scenario of how they're going to have to get in stealthily, and it's literally them doing it as they're explaining it, and there's like no tension. It's just like, okay, they're
felt
just
like
there.
Ocean's 11, like they're explaining it
Boom.
while it's going on.
Exactly, which is not what I want from a fucking Matrix movie.
Okay.
And they get to that, and then it's the entire it's the whole 40 minutes after the movie where I'm just like, okay, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, because I feel like the first Matrix, and even the second one, I thought it did action really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like the action in those last 40 minutes was really underwhelming. It felt sloppy. It felt rushed.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't nearly as awe-inspiring. And I wasn't just like, when I watched the first Matrix and 2, I was just like this. I'm watching this, I was just like, this is wild.
Mm-hmm.
This is wild. This just felt silly. It felt rushed. And I really lost my interest going forward. I was like, okay, it's not a great movie. It's not. I didn't think it was a good movie. It was just kind of like, I don't have any interest going forward. I mean, I'll watch it when it comes out. If they make more, I'll watch it, so we can talk about it. But I just don't think 2 and 3 resonated with me enough to really care about where they're going with this. Mm-hmm. And that's just my perspective on things. I know there's people in the chat that like. I know Anthouse Beat says he liked it. Tricky Regent liked it. And I get that, and I respect that. As somebody who is fully vested into the franchise, who loves the trilogy, who is understanding of the lore that's happened in the games, where they pieced out Morpheus, which is really fucking weird. And speaking of which, that's the other thing. I did not like the way they handled Morpheus in this movie. I didn't like that at all. And the other thing is characters. I do like Neil Patrick Harris in this movie. I thought he was fucking awesome. Neil Patrick Harris has found a way to play sinister, menacing characters when you wouldn't think that he could play those types of characters. He is fucking really good in this movie. He is really good in this movie. I'm a big fan of Neil Patrick Harris.
Ever since he was in Harold and Kumar, Neil Patrick Harris was not what you thought he was.
No.
Ever.
That's a great point. But I mean, like, when he was in Gone Girl, he played like a very like.
No, he's
very weird.
He's got some crazy weird.
And he
range.
is really good in this. So I really like that. So there's some good stuff there. And if I'm disappointed with one thing, I felt like Keanu was more reacting in this movie than he was actually acting. He was just kind of. It was just always like, whoa. I mean, I get it, but I mean, he was always like, oh.
Well, he had to fully be invested into this script for him to even come aboard.
I get that. I mean, I'm sure.
I mean, I don't know if that really translates to his reacting, but I mean, I know he gave a lot of his profits away to a charity.
No,
so.
and look, that's different than phoning in a performance. I mean, if you want to sit there, I'm not knocking.
Yeah, no,
I
see what you're saying. Yeah,
but his performance was just kind of like.
I'm gonna bake your noodle, but what if that was on purpose?
Well, then they better explain that in the next one.
Well, I mean, but I'm just saying, like, you're playing a guy that's technically at this point, once again, even more so than the first Matrix, docile, trying to figure out why
he's been frying his brain on the blue pill. So maybe that. I mean, I get that, but I mean, at the same time,
we're talking about a movie that's already existentially so meta. Like, why wouldn't that be real though?
I get that part of it, but at the same time,
Right?
it felt like a really phoned in performance. I feel like everyone else was just on top of the game, and it really just felt like Keanu was just, I'm here.
See, I think that was his attempt at being somebody who's completely just dormant and docile.
That's a valid point. Because he's been doing that for what, 20 years? I think that's
60.
60 years.
60
So
years.
I mean, when you're doing the same thing repetitious wise, yeah, that part, okay, cool. But at the same time, I want a little bit more.
I get it,
performance. But okay, I'm done.
I think
I want to go to you.
Here's always going to be the problem with everybody when it comes to the Matrix is that they love the Matrix, but they don't like when they're out of the Matrix. That's always going to be the problem with this franchise. Everybody wants them in the Matrix doing the kung fu and doing all the fun shit, but when we get to even if it's a half-baked story about what's really going on in the real world, that's when everybody fucking bunches up their panties and has an issue with it. That was the problem with the original trilogy, and that's the problem, I think, still with this movie as well, too, is that alone. Because I didn't really mind. I think that's a fair perspective when it comes to the second half of the movie, you know, them doing kind of like the Ocean's 11 thing and explaining that. But, to me, like, I didn't even cross my mind, I guess, really, because again, for me, I'm so invested in the lore and the characters and the story that even if there's less action, and I do feel like the action in this movie was a little bit of a letdown. Like, we got a couple good scenes. We got a really sweet callback to some characters that I was really hyped to kind of see, even though I wanted more. But in the end, like, the action was really quite light. Listen, I'm gonna try to stay on track the best I can with this one, because the problem is that this is a kind of franchise and movie, and I've said this before, that we can't spin into a 10 or 15 minute, 20 minute discussion. This would have to be something, because I feel like when anybody watches the Matrixes, just due to the nature of the last ones especially, everybody comes up with this expectation of what they expect or want from them. And these movies are not like that at all. You have to literally be as open-minded as you can and to understand partly what the story they're trying to tell you. Because the thing is, guys, guess what? This is a very layered series. Like, everything, it's all layered. And at the basis of this, I think, honestly, to really give clarity to the writing and the direction, the Wachowskis are big Eastern fans, like anime. I mean, look at Speed Racer. Like, you can hate Speed Racer and things, and that's fine. I actually think Speed Racer is underrated. I thought it was a fine movie. Like, I'm not going to talk about the acting or anything like that, but like, they take inspiration from Eastern storytelling. Eastern storytelling in anime, if you're a fan of anime, there are always going to be characters, there are always going to be stories that either aren't fully tied off or that make any sense but just fit, because that's just kind of how the storytelling is. That is kind of how the Matrix sometimes falls into that too. And I think we forget about that trope. We sometimes need to separate the fact that we're used to certain stories and certain things kind of being either prepackaged or kind of on a path or certain things we expect. Now, am I saying this was a great movie? I am not saying this is a great movie. Did I enjoy the movie? Absolutely. Did I love it? Probably. But did I feel like it was a great movie? No, I'm self-aware enough to know that it's definitely not a great movie. Did it do things that I wanted from it and make me feel like I'm back in the Matrix and find a way to explain why this is happening again? They actually did, from my standpoint, because it makes complete sense. You're talking about a race of supercomputers and AI 300 some years past the destruction of the peak society. You're not going to tell me that they can't figure out how to bring human flesh back to life and stick them back in as a battery. Get the fuck out of here, because they've managed to survive off people as energy source for a long time. I really, really enjoyed the explanation of why Neo, again, like somebody said, Metatrix or something like that. I actually like that. I really liked a lot of the cleverness of this, and I think that, and I'm going to say this like I do with a lot of things, and this I really feel like, because I can't always explain and bring my thoughts into a good package and explain them to everybody properly, but this is a time where you really, if you've seen this movie, need to watch the Screen Crush Easter egg video, because I'm telling you right now, when you start understanding the storytelling and the layers, that the cleverness that Lana is trying to tell, you kind of go, oh, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of an interesting way of looking at that. Some people said, "Oh, this is basically like a redone of the original. This is the original movie that's just showing a lot of the same."
I didn't get that vibe at all.
Some people did get that vibe, and I definitely don't, because I look at like Force Awakens being nearly a complete repeat of New Hope. Yeah, it's a reskin of the New Hope. This movie was not like that. Did it show a lot of scenes from that? Yes, because you're talking from a POV version of Neo, who originally in the original series, his residual self in the digital world is what he looks like and what in the world, and he's got the glasses and the this, that, and the other, right? Because he was inserted by the machines and not recreated, but brought back to life or whatever by the machines, when they inserted him in, this is not the original Matrix. This is an entirely new program.
Yep.
So that means everything that's going on, they have full control again. And how do they keep the strongest guy that was a mathematical equation remainder from the last one docile and not fucking with our shit? We make him swallow a bunch of blue pills. We make him think that all his memories were a video game, and we push him along on a fucking treadmill all day. Mm-hmm. And that's how we get there. And that's where we come into the Matrix. That's where we're at this point. Because Thomas Anderson, Neo, is always going to have this itch in the back of the mind because he was that original mathematical equation. He's going to trying to wake himself up, but they don't want him to do that because they know the power that he has.
Right,
they're afraid of that because the last time it got out of control and he was able to, do things that they don't want you to do. And, what it came down to when you're talking to the architect, all his predecessors went through this door and he went through this door. Why? See, Levy, it was love. Right. And again, which is another centerpiece for this movie as well, too. And that's why we've got to break Trinity out, too, because they bring Trinity back to life as well, too.
I just wish they would have done that whole sequence, a whole thing differently. I just feel like, again, it felt rushed. And again, some of the action, it was so choppy and quick cut, and there was so much going on in the screen. I couldn't.
It was bouncing around some.
And that's why I just again, it's a testament to The Matrix and the second one. Where I seriously love the action in those movies. I really do. I think they handle even the exposition stuff. I love the explanation of the Matrix. I love the thought-provoking stuff. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed the exposition that we got as to why Neo is being used the way he's used. I thought that was really good.
That was clever.
But the last half, I just could not connect with. I was just sitting there, I was sitting on the couch like this. I was just like, oh my god.
It's because we were out of the Matrix. I just feel like, honestly, if we're not in the Matrix, that's when people are like, I don't know, it's harder or something like that. I don't know what it is, because you can go back to the second movie with Reloaded and look at when the Nebuchadnezzar is going home finally to Zion. And they get there, they're in their cave, and blah blah blah. And then they do the tribal dance that everybody shit bricks about and has for 20 years, about them being half naked and dancing around and being like, "What the fuck is this dumb dance?" Now, I will say that dance continues way too long, but people are missing the point of what they were doing. Instead of, they were so focused on it being the middle of their movie, instead of like, well, why is it here? Like, why is this important or whatever? And we look at the wrong things, and that's what we got to be careful. I feel like the Matrix, because
but a lot of the action in that last part of the movie is in the Matrix, because Neo's able to use his abilities, like all that stuff. That stuff I'm talking, not the breakout sequence. Where
I thought you're talking about specifically when Trinity's in her pod when they're trying to cut her out.
No. I don't like how they rush that. I don't like the whole sequence after they get her out and they go through the whole city and they're blowing shit up.
Oh, that's the stuff you don't like.
That stuff, I thought, compared to what we saw in the first one and the second one,
that's actually a social piece.
I thought the action was so choppy and just so poorly done compared to those. And again, that's because they set up. I'm giving credit to what the Matrix has done.
I thought you were talking about
no, I'm talking about when they're in there and he's got his little force ability and all that stuff. That whole, like I said, the last 40 minutes, I was just like, this shit is so underwhelming. And again, it's how it's shot. It's the way they portray it. It's how they shoot it. There were there were multiple sequences in the first, like one of my favorite action sequences of the fucking 90s. Is when Neo saves Trinity in the helicopter, and the music's building, and the chopper comes flying down, and she gets out, and it blows up. That shit, I was like, man, this is fucking hype.
Yeah,
that shit, there was none of that.
So
in the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing I will say about that, one of my favorite parts, I thought was pretty brilliant, is because of the zombie agents that they called the
bots.
They were the hive, or not the hive, the swarm.
The
swarm. The swarm. That's a pretty interesting social Q as well too about how technology has turned us all into zombies,
right.
how we're controlled. Like again, it is a very like layered series. That people were jumping out of their apartment buildings as basically bombs trying to. I thought that was fucking gnarly. But yes, I will say that the action and some of that stuff. We didn't really get a real big opus in that. Like at the end of the original Matrix, we got a crazy fight with Agent
remember
Smith
when we were watching the trailer and we saw the helicopter sequence? I was like, oh man, that looks like that's going to be a fucking dope ass scene. And it was so weak.
It was a little weak.
I was just like, is that really? They showed the entire basically. They showed everything in the trailer. I was like, there's got to be a whole build up to it. And I think that's the chase through the city. And I was just like,
yeah, there was no climax there. I get, that's fair.
And I mean, again, that's just because of how well they did it in the first Matrix and the second one. I really I didn't get that. That's what bothered me.
That's fair. I thought you were talking about the other pieces.
No.
At the end of the day, I like the callbacks to the Merovingian. When he showed up, I freaked out, of course. When he was, all the guys from the big fight in the second movie.
Was that the guys in the train station, the old train station they were in?
No.
Who was the old guy that was yelling at everybody?
That was the Merovingian.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant.
The French guy from the second and third film. Like,
yes.
Okay. He was he was the one that had the key the key guy. Key man. I want to say key master actually.
Yeah, I know he did. Dude, I was thinking when you said key, I was like, key master?
God damn it, I can't think of what he is. So that was a cool callback to that too as well. And listen, to just talk about a few things, and then Sati, of course, too. I knew right away when I saw him, like, holy shit, I bet that's Sati. And sure enough, it was Satine. The whole thing at the end of the day, like some of the things, like when it come to Lawrence Fishburne, he said he wasn't approached by it. Listen, I really thought it was clever how and why a Morpheus exists in this.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually him trying to still break himself out. Like, again, I feel like people just didn't get a lot of the things that we're trying to build because it's kind of a POV in a weird way with this movie. But that was fine. I know Hugo Weaving, I guess, couldn't be involved.
And again, like, I don't know who the guy is that plays.
I thought he was fine.
He was good, but I mean, man, when he's like Mr. Anderson, I was just like,
when he yelled, I got hype. I was like, he was like, Mr. Anderson. I'm like, whoa.
And I get it, but I mean, I'm we're both Hugo Weaving guys. Like, we love Hugo Weaving, and I wanted to see him in this. And then when I see Morpheus, it was like I wanted Lawrence Fishburne in this.
And I get it, but at the end of the day, like, again, because it is a program, because it's not the old Matrix, because he's programming the Merovingians exist because he's an old rogue program that just didn't get copied and managed to stay around. But what I thought was clever again was that he basically was working next to Agent Smith the entire time. They didn't know it because this movie was about, again, it became to numbers and about binary. Some people were like, well, why isn't Neo doing all his powers right away and stuff like that? Well, for one, he was docile. Two, it's a different Matrix. Three is technically not the one because it's not the same Matrix.
Right.
And lastly, the reason that him and Trinity are alive was because, and it was really interesting how MPH explained it, was about how some people were like, oh, we gotta have bullet time explained to us like we're idiots. Anybody that said the movie is challenging your intelligence clearly went into this movie already with a chip on their shoulder. I'm just going to say that. That was really more for Neo's benefit in a way, I think, but also to point out the fact that they learned from Neo as well, too. And I really liked how by the way, one thing I did have a feeling was with the machines did have a civil war. I thought that was kind of gnarly.
That was dope.
That's why
really
this still exists as well, too. But they need the two of them because of, again, it came back to the power of love in the original ones. Mm-hmm. That love between Neo and Trinity created a lot of different emotion, which creates, guess what, a lot of energy inside. Right. And for Copper Top's batteries, that energy is important to sustain the machines being able to still have energy and still function.
It reminded me of Monsters, Inc., where, being scared brings you a lot of energy, but even being happy or like love, whatever, that got them more energy.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that. And at the end of the movie, when they jump off the thing, and it always comes back to being light as a feather. It always comes back to that's how you can one way you can wake up from the Matrix as well, too. and they're sitting there suspended in here like, what the fuck's going on? Like, whatever. Well, it's because the difference here is this isn't the old Matrix. These two are the catalysts for the entire Matrix of building energy for the machines. So now we're talking about numbers again. We're talking about binary. Binary is 2, 0 and a 1.
0 and 1.
For them to have powers. That's why at the end you see them both flying now, because they can't do it alone. They have to have each other.
Yep.
Which is really interesting. So there's a lot more going on there, and I digress on this. I could talk about this for a long time. I've talked about this for a long enough time, and I've defended it for 20 fucking years, and I could defend it all day. But all I'm saying is you need to watch it a few more times maybe than you normally would, just to really kind of get some of those layers. Watch the Screen Crush video. Ryan Airy's going to give you some great fucking information out there, better than I could, on how they filmed and why they filmed and kind of the cleverness behind of it. I definitely say that the movie wasn't great. I really enjoyed it. They did what they could do to explain why the Matrix would be back, and I thought it was done well in that sense. Could the last half have been a better action? Absolutely, because we really only got one really good action scene, and that was about it. So, again, it doesn't sound like they're gonna make any more. I guess so far.
Oh, really? They haven't talked about
it? Yeah, they said they really weren't planning on it, and probably because of the box office stuff, they don't plan on doing it again. So, I guess it kind of is what it is. But, again, some people say this didn't need to happen. I don't agree with that clearly, but does it need more? They left the door open in case they could ever do that. So I guess we'll see.
All right. Fair enough. How you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah.
You got one more topic you need for?
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Moving on to some games.
2 more, don't we?
We got 3 more.
Do we really?
We got PSVR, and we still got some shows we got to talk about.
Thanks, Cuddles.
Boom. All right. Gaming news. Just yesterday at CES 2022, Sony officially announced PlayStation VR2. We won't talk about this very long because we don't know much about it other than they got these fucking awesome controllers.
That we saw that leak last year.
Yeah, it wasn't even a leak. It was a part of when they first announced we are working on next gen.
It wasn't a leak?
Yeah. They were like, we're working on a next gen VR headset, and one of the things they talked about was the controller. And they're doing away with the Move controllers. Thank God. I fucking hated the Move controllers. Was not a fan. And the reason I'm happy about this as well is because you're not going to need a PSI or a PS Cam or anything like that for this. Everything is built into the headset. The headset has cameras on it that tracks your arms and everything, so you're good. Everything is built in there.
Oculus Qs.
One cord, a USB-C cord, is all you need from your headset to your PS5. Now, do I wish this thing would have been wireless? Yes, I do. I really, really do. But at the same time, one cord is better than the fucking shit that we got with this one. Even though I think the second variation.
It was
of it,
streamlined a little bit.
It was better. I mean, they had a second variation come out like a year later. It might have even been less than a year.
It was 2 years, I think.
Was it 2 years later? Because I know it also had it allowed for HDR pass through. Because that was one of the things where people were pissed about the original headsets. It didn't have HDR pass through or 4K and all that stuff or whatever. But no, we did find out yesterday. Here are some of the details that we do know about the headset. It is a 4K HDR OLED. That's
pretty huge.
That's a beefy
That's why you
upgrade.
want that plugged in, by the way.
That's why you want it plugged in, absolutely. 110-degree field of view, so you're going to get more real estate in front of you, which is huge. 90 to 120 hertz, awesome. Eye tracking. Now, that is the one thing that's really interesting. The headset will actually track your eyes when you're looking around. It'll make for a little bit more, I think, a smoother experience.
Yes.
There's also some other benefits in there. The headset will have 3D audio, which, again, Tempest audio on the PS5 is really, really good. If you have a Pulse headset or just a pair of stereo headphones,
it'll blow your mind.
The 3D audio, something like in Returnal and Ratchet and Clank were just fucking nuts.
Here's my favorite part.
The Sense controllers combine the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers that we find on the DualSense
Goddamn yeah.
Dude, you put a headset on with those kind of controllers, you're talking full immersion with a 3D audio. Like, look, man, we'll go through this. We also found out that Horizon Call of the Mountain will be an exclusive to PSVR 2. Them and Guerrilla Games and Firespray, who Sony just purchased
True Panic.
like 3 months ago. 3 months ago, Sony purchased Firespray. Now we know why. Because they're working with Guerrilla Games on Horizon Call of the Mountain. And again, single cord. So, I mean, this is really good stuff. Again, I wish it was wireless, but it is what it is. They put more money into the 4K HDR. If you have a headset on, it's whatever. And, like, here's the thing, man, and I won't get into it. I know there's, VR has its detractors, and there's people that just aren't into it, and that's whatever. But my thing is with VR, man, you can't really speak to VR until you try it. That's the biggest thing. And that's still the thing that not only Oculus, PlayStation, Oculus, all these guys, they're still dealing with that bizarre, VR is overrated from people who never fucking played it. They have no idea what it's like. They have no clue. And so if you're ever talking to somebody and, absolutely, Panic. Those controllers look very familiar. I think, was it the Vive? The HTC Vive that had those types of, they had the very similar controllers, and you're goddamn right, copy what works. I mean, honestly, man, they could have done anything. The PlayStation Move controllers were they were cool when they first came out, but to have that integrated in PSVR, they're just not ideal for a lot of those experiences. These controllers are going to be a much more immersive experience. But I am a huge fan of VR, man. Like, I really like VR. I don't have it set up on my PS5 right now, simply because there's no benefits of the PS5 to these VR games. They're all still based on the PS4 model. But man, I tell you, there is just something about putting on that headset.
Oh yeah.
And the worlds that you enter. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to put that headset on and you look around and you are in that world. And when you have 3D Tempest audio, you're going to have the dual sense functionality in your fingertips. The headset's going to fucking vibrate to a degree. It's going to react to the situations you're in. You are talking full-on immersion. And we actually got a small clip, a small teaser of Horizon Call of the Mountain. Let's take a look at that really quick.
There.
What's that tall note?
Skyrim beginning.
It's heading towards the moon's
Yeah,
rise.
James McKenzie.
It's headed towards us.
And and again, it's one thing to see a video of it. That trailer does not do justice to what you're going to experience. When you see that trailer, you're like, oh, cool, you're on a boat and there's a fucking tall neck. It's different when you put the headset on, because you are literally there looking up at the tall neck as it walks over you. You got the 3D Tempest audio. You're going to feel that thing landing behind you when its foot hits the ground. I am excited as fuck for VR, man. I'm a huge fan of it. I love the immersive experiences.
Yeah.
I still think, I don't know how close we are to having, like, I don't expect this Horizon Call of the Mountain to be like a 60-hour game. I don't expect that. I mean, maybe 10, 12 hours at the most.
Be surprised if even that.
I mean, it
Probably
is what it is.
I don't know. Demo.
Yeah, I don't know how close you are to full-on massive online or open world experiences.
Oh yeah, how close are we to that, Jay McKenzie?
Jay McKenzie would know. VR is really the best way to
he knows.
McKenzie knows what's up.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. My man's working on one of those. That's right.
Something.
He's working on one of those. No, I'm a huge fan of VR. I love the immersive nature of it. I think it's exciting, and I cannot wait. Now we don't have a date on this. We haven't even seen the headset. We've just seen the controller. We don't have a price. I'm guessing Sony will make the price competitive. They understand that to buy the system and to get a headset, it costs a lot of money, but. Sorry, I missed the question. No, he just said, what did you ask?
Oh, I just said I was kind of joking about your VR knowledge, and
we know you know a thing or two.
We're talking about
VR.
the way of gaming for sure.
But we don't have a price. We don't even have a release date. But we do know a report came out earlier this week that a factory in China that builds these sort of things, they have been given the order. They are starting to production on these headsets. So I think it's safe to assume holiday 2022 is when they're hoping to bring this out.
We're gonna be watching for those pre-orders real close.
I'll be all over that shit.
Day one.
I won't even hesitate. Like, I'm just a huge fan of VR and the possibilities that it presents.
I still love my Oculus.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole different way to game. Is it for everybody? No. I mean, even the people who do try it, if they get motion sickness or they have issues with it, I respect those opinions. But if you're just somebody who says fucking VR sucks and you haven't put a headset on, do me a favor and shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about.
When I lay down, they say I'm a tall neck.
Okay. Anyways, just want to talk about that briefly. Again, when we get more information out, we're going to talk about it. We're big fans of VR.
Go and talk about it.
Cannot wait to see what they've got next. How you doing?
Go ahead.
You still good? Oh my God, he's feeling good. All right, man, let's go. Next topic. CobraKai Season 4 is out now, and when we've binged through this shit.
I did it in one sitting.
You did in one sitting.
Saturday.
Wow, my man.
I looked at her. I said, "It's starting right now.
We're
so
doing it.
Letting you know.
Make some
she don't watch
popcorn.
it, yeah,
Get some drink. Okay,
so it's starting
all right.
right now. So be ready.
CobraKai season 4 is out now, and dude, the season was
say
epic.
it first. Say it.
What's that?
Say it. You know what? Say it. CobraKai. Say it.
What?
Say it.
What?
Strike first. Strike hard. No mercy,
No.
sir.
Quiet. That's what Johnny says, man. He's always like, quiet. And he yells that out.
Yeah,
No,
good.
look, this season was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't sure what to expect coming in. Obviously, we're hitting that point in the show where we're at 4 seasons. Like, how much can they keep this going?
Mm-hmm.
Can they keep it going? And they do just that.
The struggles, the constant character developing, and the back and forth. There's more face and heel turns in a wrestling match.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole... Dude, you made that comparison earlier. This is like wrestling and daytime soap operas.
Great.
People
Sign me
are
up. And karate.
switching sides, and people are
Karate.
double-crossing, and there's teen drama, but it's all about the drama between Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso. And then you've also got, John Kreese is there. But now this season, they tap into the one Karate Kid that I don't think anybody likes. Nah. Karate Kid 3, not a good movie.
Doesn't care like it.
Wasn't a good movie. It was Thomas Ian Griffin's first movie, and everyone could tell. That was his movie. That was his film debut.
Exactly, Panic Barnes. That's what I'm saying.
Man, who else can they bring back? Them Barnes. This show is better than. I mean, and we'll get to the end of the series, but overall, man, I mean, when they tapped in, when we saw that they were bringing Terry Silver back, I was like, man, I hope
you were like, I can't wait.
No, I was just like, okay, all right. I mean, at that point, you were like, okay, look, he has to come back. Okay, he has to.
It's your Trick.
And Trick is 100% right. CobraKai makes 3 infinitely better. Not only does it seem that Thomas Ian Griffin took some acting lessons, but he got way better material in this show than he ever got in 3. 3 is a travesty of a movie. It is a terrible fucking movie compared to the first 2. It is terrible. This movie redeems 3 and makes 3 an integral part of the trilogy.
It already was, but yeah,
because they take Thomas Ian Griffin's character of Terrence Silver and they like they did with John Kreese and many other characters, fleshed him right the fuck out. Now, we already knew Terrence Silver was a manipulating fucking scumbag. He is all about psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
John Kreese is all about blunt force trauma. Terrence Silver is about getting into the mind of your enemy. We saw him torment Daniel LaRusso in Karate Kid 3, got into his head. He really fucked with them. And at first, when they introduced Terrence Silver, we're like, oh, man, he's a new man.
Yes, Cuddles.
He's seen the error of his ways. He's an entrepreneur. He's successful. He's living on a
Rich.
beach, eating fucking tofu.
Mm-hmm.
He's living life. Can we all agree that LaRussos are a bunch of jerks and bullies? Man, I want to talk a little bit about Anthony Russo, but we'll get back to that.
Yeah, Hilary Swank, by the way, is going to make an appearance next season.
Dude,
probably.
that's one movie. That's
your
the next
favorite one,
Karate
though.
Kid
That's your
is the
favorite.
Kingdom of Crystal Skulls of the Karate Kid movies, man.
That's your
It don't
favorite.
exist.
Don't lie.
It don't
It's
exist.
technically in the fucking universe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I bet
okay.
you're going to see her next season.
Man.
Bet you.
I mean, I always had a thing for Hilary Swank, just not in that movie. She was trash, man. She was trash. The whole movie was trash. I digress. But Tone, I want to get your initial thoughts on the season. I mean, like I said, man, they explore.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we get more from Terry Silver. We get more of the relationship between him and John Kreese. The feud between Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence continues to escalate. Every time we think they're on the same fucking page. Will they bring back the girl from Karate Kid 3?
That's a great question.
I think that's interesting because she wasn't really a girlfriend. She was more.
She brought him mac and cheese and hot dogs, and
she
he
was
grew up
more
on that.
like an acquaintance, and that's funny, man. Because if you read about it, at the time of the movie, I think Ralph Macchio was like 23 or 27 or some shit like that, and Robin Lively was 16. And so Ralph Macchio actually told him
wasn't even 18.
She wasn't, and that's why Ralph Macchio was like, "We need to change this up a little, this relationship, because it's more platonic than it is like a relationship." He was adamant. He was like, "Look, this can't happen like this. She's too fucking young, bro.
Good
She's
on
too
Ralph
young."
for not being a scumbag.
Right. And so, I mean, Robin Lively is somebody they could bring back as well, but obviously Mike Barnes, because at the end of the season, we'll get into everything that happens then.
Yeah.
Terry Silver says, "Look, I have friends that I can bring back."
And his buddies.
And his buddy. So Mike Barnes will likely be coming back for the next season. But Tone, let's get over to you. I want to get your initial reaction to the season.
Listen, I binged it in a fucking day.
That's
I
all we
fucking
need to
love
know.
this series. And I'm telling you, this, and we've been saying it for a long time around here, even before you finally started watching it. This is the roadmap for everybody that wants to revisit an old ass franchise and reboot it and give it more air long time down the road. This is the roadmap. Now, that said, I do think, and I know you're going to really kind of get into that a little bit more here shortly, and I just do want to say it because I thought about this right away.
Mm-hmm.
They got to start bringing it home.
They do.
Because it's getting to a point with all the side switching, the character development, which is good because it's intriguing. It's good. It's good to see characters grow like that.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
that. They do a good job, like with LaRusso's wife and Tori.
I
and
love
different
her
things.
story arc.
There,
this
yeah,
season.
that was really brilliant. Didn't see that coming. So, honestly, keep more of that. But like,
we're running out of characters.
we're running out of like, where are we going to go with it? And I think, honestly, I think Terry coming into season 4 is a good time frame because we're going to what, 5th season, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think 5 seasons is a pretty good number to say.
Yes.
Listen, we've got new, because honestly, in the season 5, at this point, do we really need to worry about the All Valley anymore at this point? I don't think so, because a lot of the characters are switching sides or this, that, and the other. And very honestly, you know what? Robbie Keane didn't get a lot of showtime in this series.
He was way better this season than he's ever been.
However, he was like, when he basically said, "I don't give a shit about whose side that wants it." He's like, "I'm on my side." I'm like, that's like the anti-hero still right there. Like, you just because he's hanging out with CobraKai doesn't mean he's a scumbag.
Right.
Because look what he's doing with the young guy under him. But then you see that kid turn into a fellow. You see all these great like people just all of a sudden switch on a dime, and it's because of karate. Just probably gives people that confidence, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But it also it gives power, and what does power do? Power all of a sudden leads to corruption and like a different mindset and things like that. I mean, you see that with Diaz the entire series, how he's basically Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker, like nonstop, like just going back and forth. But yes, I loved this. I don't know how even in season 4 they were still managing to create such great character development. I think it's because they focus on other characters. You still see the struggle with Johnny and Danny for most of the episodes of this. And again, it finally come home at the end. But hey, you know what? Next season, they might still be butting heads about stuff. But I think actually at the end of this season, I think this was finally the moment of clarity, especially for Danny. And Cuddles, I got to agree with that. I honestly feel like, and we've said it since season 1, in a weird way, in a perspective way, the LaRussos, after all that time, have kind of become like the bullies. Like, it's almost like he forgot his old past. He talks such great things about Miyagi and does all these things and has like the true intentions here. Mm-hmm. But I feel like everything else around him, he doesn't fully invest.
Those intentions didn't convey into the rest of his family
at all. Even his wife, like when she goes to the fucking restaurant and behaves like that, and she loses her job. It's
but
like,
at least, but at least when she did that, and that's what I liked about Amanda LaRusso's like story arc is she had immediate remorse.
Yes, that's true.
Whereas like
Danny's always blaming everybody else.
Danny's blaming everyone else. Anthony LaRusso's just kind of a prick, and even Sam has had times where she doesn't understand the consequences of her actions.
Yep.
Amanda LaRusso, the mom, she is like immediately remorseful of the situation, especially, and then she finds out what's going on with Tori. When Tori kind of explains things, what's going on, Amanda LaRusso again can sympathize, because we find out something about Amanda LaRusso this season where I was like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. Like, she kind of had her moment where, you know, Tori had her moment and she took one path, Amanda LaRusso ran into one moment and she took another path, and so they're like kind of like there, but she knows what happens at that crossroad. It was really, really good. Like, I really liked the way they handled that. And the whole season itself was good. A lot of good story. Dude, Hawk's story arc, his redemption, the way he bounced back at the end, I was like, his fight with Robbie Keane was fucking hype.
That was dope as shit.
That shit was fucking hype. I was like, this is some of the best choreographed fighting I've seen in a while. There's still some quick cuts, but when they slow things down and then you kind of get to see a couple of hits, couple blocks, well choreographed stuff. It wasn't chop, 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 chop. It is really some really intense fights going on. I was like, damn, these are actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you're saying I should start watching the show?
You haven't?
Yeah, A-House, I'm actually, I think you're lying. I don't believe you.
Wait. You watched? Shut up. You're
and
trolling.
man, and
He's
listen to this.
trolling.
Listen to this. Jay Hill was born in the early '80s.
Yeah, I know.
Jay Hill
I
says
was ignoring it.
Karate Kid wasn't a part of my childhood. Couldn't get into this show. What?
The fuck, man.
Jay Hill, you have a homework assignment.
Yeah.
You are to go watch all
Don't
3
work.
Karate Kid movies. You don't have to watch the next Karate Kid. Don't have to watch that one. Go watch the Karate Kid movies and then go back and watch the series, and you'll appreciate it more. Promise you'll appreciate it more.
Jesus, what's wrong with you?
He's a Michigan fan. Give him a break.
Oh, not so smart. Gotcha. Go on.
Jay Hill, he said it, not me. Anyways, no, the season was great. There was a lot of good stuff going on. There were some storylines that I didn't really care for. Anthony LaRusso's, for one, was one I didn't really like. It felt really rushed, especially because I didn't expect Anthony LaRusso to be because I guess we're at that point also in the show, man. It feels like Game of Thrones. We have a lot of characters now.
We do.
We have Kenny, the new kid from school, who was basically Daniel LaRusso when he came to school, and you have little Anthony LaRusso, who is basically Johnny Lawrence. So, I mean, you've got first Danny and Johnny fight, and they're opposites. And then you have Sam and Tori, and they're the opposite of opposites. And then you have Anthony LaRusso, and they're back to, like, Johnny, and it's just like, okay, what the fuck? I mean, you see all these stuff. But the thing with the one thing that bothered me about Kenny is Kenny goes from this really goofy, like a lot of these other characters, they have taken multiple seasons to start from one thing to become another thing. Kenny, in the matter of like 6 episodes, goes from cosplay goofball nerd kid to psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he turns into a straight up fucking psychopath in the last episode. Now, I was just like, wow, this escalated quickly. And I just didn't, I felt that was like one of the most rushed things, and it was probably a storyline you probably could have just done completely without and save that for next season. Make it more interesting for next season when you bring in Mike Barnes. You're like, okay, this is where we're at with the characters.
He's fighting Mike Barnes.
We're tapping the well. We're tapping the well of characters. Now we can bring in Anthony LaRusso, who's been a part of the show. He turns into a prick, and here's Kenny. But, like, the whole Kenny thing, I was like, that just felt, I mean, it was literally 4 episodes. Kenny goes from dork to psychopath.
We all were Jay Hill, but you still watched Karate Kid for
I was a
sake.
3 Ninjas kid.
Were you Tum Tum, or were you was it Colt Tum Tum and Colt Tum Tum?
Can we get a 3 Ninjas
Fuck.
reboot? Didn't we get 3 of those movies? Wasn't there 3?
Yeah, there was 3 and one.
There
Hulk
was a
Hogan
trilogy.
was in it. Remember?
That's right.
The third one,
That's
Hulk Hogan was
right.
it. Rocky, Tum Tum and Colt.
So now we'll jump ahead to the end of the series. Now, obviously, they had to set things up for
Right on the
what's
outside.
going forward. And at the end of the episode, you know, obviously, CobraKai wins the tournament. CobraKai wins the tournament, and according to the deal between Kreese and Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso, if CobraKai wins, they have to shut everything down.
Yeah, well, the gentleman shake don't mean shit.
Gentlemen, especially when it's a scumbag like Kreese. When you have no honor, I'm not going to honor
Or
that
apparently
handshake.
LaRusso.
I love when LaRusso said that. Well, I'm not going to honor a handshake if there's no honor on the other side of the handshake or whatever he said. I was like, okay,
Good
cool.
point.
And so, you know, we understand that at this time, you know,
Yeah, we did
CobraKai and Terrence Silver and John Kreese are like, oh, we're going to spread. We're going to buy multiple buildings, and CobraKai is going to be everywhere. And then there's a bit
Which
of a
was the plan in the third one, by the way.
Yes, it was. And then at the end of the episode, there's a couple of things that happen. First of all, Terrence Silver realizes, Kreese, you're my weakness because your weakness is Johnny Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And he frames Kreese for kicking the shit out of Stingray, another
Your favorite
absolutely
character.
useless character this season.
Saginaw's own.
I love him. He's a great actor. Terrible season for Stingray. I mean, honestly, his scenes were kind of cringy. And so, you know, Kreese gets framed for beating the shit out of Stingray because Terrence Silver forced Stingray to say it was Kreese that did this, and that's how Stingray can get back into CobraKai. But so Kreese is going away, so we think. Diaz has kind of a moment of clarity at the tournament. He's like, look, I don't want to fight for your reasons. I want to fight for my reasons. And so he's like, I'm out. You know, he backs out and he leaves. He wants to go find his dad. And we know his mom has said multiple times, his dad's a bad dude. And then we find out the dad doesn't even know Diaz exists.
And he's probably a cartel leader or something.
Dude, he has to be. She said he's a bad dude. And so Diaz is like, he takes inspiration from Johnny because Johnny was disappointed. He didn't try to find his father. So Diaz is like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go find mine. So he takes off and he leaves. And then, you know, Diaz's mom tells Johnny Lawrence, he's a bad guy. He should go. And Johnny Lawrence is like, oh, I'm going to go after him. I'll bring him back. And so I'm like, well, where's this storyline going? oh, they're gonna go to Mexico and it's gonna be a rescue operation. Like, okay,
Tijuana.
weird. And so, it got me thinking. I was like, and it's kind of like what you said at the top of the segment. At what point do we put a bow on this thing and be like, look, we're good? I feel like at this point, if we're tapping into Barnes,
Danny Trejo,
if we're bringing back Mike Barnes, I feel like this is where the Game of Thrones showrunners ran out of like books, and we're like, okay, now we got to wing it.
Right.
Now we got to fucking wing it. And it's just like, okay, Mike Barnes and Robbie Lively are the last of the characters that they can bring
Hilary
back.
Swank.
No. His dad is the dude from the show Renegade.
I just think, because I agree. I think, they just wrapped up filming, I think, for 5, actually, matter of fact.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
So I'm just I'm curious to see what it's going to be like. Is
Keep the
Johnny, and Prime mentioned something. We were talking about this the other day, and I thought it was hilarious because I was like, well, what is Johnny going to go down to Mexico and like battle the cartel to get Diaz back? Is this going to turn into like an action movie? And he's like, well, look, dude, Kreese still needs his redemption. Obviously, Kreese and Terrence Silver are not on good terms.
Mm-hmm.
And Kreese feels, there's a scene where Terrence Silver is beating the shit out of Johnny, and Kreese is standing there like Darth Vader watching Palpatine like zap Luke, and he's like, you can tell he's conflicted. He's like, I don't want this to happen to Johnny. So now Johnny's going to go in over his head down to Mexico and try to find Diaz, who's probably going to be in trouble. And if there's anybody that knows anything about being behind enemy lines, it's John Kreese.
It's John Kreese.
Which got me thinking, man, wasn't there a movie in the 80s with Martin Cove that would have been like the perfect fucking origin story for John Kreese? And there was. This video right here I'm about to show you, this trailer for Steel Justice, is the true origin story of John Kreese, and hopefully the character we'll see go down and save Johnny Lawrence. Let's take a look at this.
Jesus.
They trained him to kill.
Good morning.
Then they turned him loose.
It's a trap!
And for 12 years, he tried to forget.
The war never ended for you, John.
You can't go back 12 years.
Nothing seems right since then.
But he can't forget his friends. Or forgive his enemies.
Man's an assassin.
The future is unlimited.
I still have the edge.
Go ahead, take on the whole Vietnamese mafia.
I believe we are talking about your wife.
But I gotta do something.
Steel's bad.
You cannot stop him. All you can do is kill him.
He isn't being recruited. He's being unleashed.
Never underestimate the power of a peaceful man.
It'd take an army to stop them.
That's why I'm here.
Steel justice. When all that is left
There
is
you go.
simple honor.
There you go.
Never underestimate the power of a peaceful man.
I hope that's on Prime.
Like I said, man, that trailer, the tagline is the same line that Dick Jones says.
Mm-hmm.
He's not being, you don't recruit John Steele. You unleash him.
Mm-hmm.
If that isn't the fucking basis of season 5 of John Kreese's story arc to redemption, is to go John Steele behind enemy lines into Mexico to save Diaz, then I don't want to watch the fucking series, dude. I'm not watching next season. Johnny and Kreese going to Mexico, and Kreese gets shot by cartel, saving Johnny, giving him the dying speech to save CobraKai. Ooh, that's his final wish to Johnny. Man, see, now that, kind of compelling. That might be enough to keep the show going forward.
We'll know him probably about a
I
year.
just,
probably
like-
on the 1st of 2023.
Like, look, here's the reason why I want them to wrap this up. I just don't want this to turn into a Dexter situation or a Game of Thrones situation where the ending is just so poorly done
That it ruins everything
and it
else.
overstays its welcome, dude. Like, I look at what M. Night Shyamalan said, dude. He envisioned The Servant being 60 episodes. That was his first intention, to make it 60 episodes. But then he said, look, these shows, they overstay their welcome. They run out of ideas and they get really thin, and they cause more turmoil and negative conversation than it does people enjoying.
Ironic coming from him.
Very ironic. But he actually trimmed down Servant from 60 episodes to 40. He shortened it up 2 seasons. And I just don't want to see, because I really do love this show. I think we've talked about it. You mentioned at the top of the segment. This is the blueprint going forward. We saw Chucky do it. Chucky series did the same thing. We see a lot of movies starting to do this. There's just a right way to do this, and this is how they do it. But you also have to understand, we have to cut it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to tarnish the legacy by just creating shit out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
You want to bring back Mike Barnes next season and have him and Terrence Silver team up, and that's the final battle between Daniel LaRusso. Fuck, maybe Kreese will join Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence. I don't know. I don't care. Kreese needs a redemption. Obviously, they're big on redemptions on this show.
After 30-plus years.
Yeah, he's got to have his redemption arc. But at the same time, it's got to come to an end. I don't want them to ruin it because I love this show so much. I really do. I think it's an amazing show. I think it's an amazing accomplishment, an amazing achievement, and is truly the right way to do things like this going forward. Mm-hmm. But don't fuck it up by dragging it out too long and just throwing spitballs and see what makes it last.
Right.
I don't want it to get absurd. It's already corny in certain ways. It's hokey in certain ways, much like those movies
campy,
were.
the
it's
right
campy,
way.
just like those movies were.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to get fucking stupid.
Right.
It doesn't have to overstay its welcome. Let's cut it after 5. You know what I'm saying?
5.
You don't fuck it up like Matrix did after the second one. Ooh. Cuddles is just... Let me take that knife out of your back. There you go.
Yeah, it's water off a duck's back.
Martin Cove on another Earth is Superman. Martin Cove he's a treasure. He's a national treasure. But overall, man, this was an epic season. Like, it was fucking awesome. It was a lot of fun. I mean, was there anything about the story itself that's
no? I'm fucking hooked. I'm so hooked. Like, I'm worried about season 5, but I'm also figuring like they've been good to me so far. They're gonna still stick
the one
landing.
thing that kind of keeps me
I'm
feeling
just
good.
I don't. Yeah, they're gonna bring Hillary Swank.
Man, I mean,
they're gonna do it.
I don't know.
She'll be a cameo.
Oh, gosh,
or the 16-year-old
Robin Lively
dating Anthony.
But no, I do think Mike. I mean, obviously at the end of the show when Kreese was getting hauled away, Terry Silver was like, "I'm gonna bring some friends back. We'll take care of CobraKai while you're gone, while you straighten out your issues."
Right.
But I mean, I want to give major shout outs. Like Tricky said earlier in the segment, he was like, "This made Karate Kid 3 a better movie. It really did. Not in terms of the story, but the characters itself. Like, Terrence Silver was a stupid fucking character in Karate Kid 3. He was a shallow one-note character, kind of like Kreese was. Kreese was one note. You know, he's just there to yell and be a bad guy. But much like Kreese in this show, they took Terrence Silver and they really fleshed him out. Like, it's the whole relationship that they explored in Vietnam with him and Silver that really makes it. CobraKai is what Sopranos should have done with that movie.
That should have been more of a mini series or like a 2 or 3 part movie. Yeah.
Even though I thought the casting was good,
Even
I
though
love
I still
the guy.
enjoyed
I
the
love
movie,
the guy who
yeah.
played Junior. I love the guy. He had Junior down to a T.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie, but yeah.
But all right. Anyways, watch CobraKai. If you have watched season 4, let us know in the comments wherever you're watching or listening what you thought of season 4. I thought it was fucking amazing.
Your thoughts.
I thought it was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
show.
Awesome.
All right, moving on to our final topic. Because we weren't live last week, so we couldn't talk about it. But Tone, the Book of Boba Fett. Episode 1 and 2 are out now. Now, you are in a small group of huge Boba Fett fans.
Correct.
Boba Fett is...
Pre the blow up, yes.
And I'm going to just set the table here for Tone.
Mm-hmm.
Boba Fett is often considered just kind of like a write-off character.
Was at one time.
Yeah. Not a lot of people care about Boba Fett, mainly because of the way George Lucas utilized him in the movies.
Underutilized.
Underutilized him in the movies. He shows up. He has what, 3 lines in the whole first 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up in the second one to collect Han. He gets pieced out in the lamest fucking way, and that's it. We're done with Boba Fett. But he's a bounty hunter, goddammit. And bounty hunters are fucking fascinating characters. It's a fascinating job in the Star Wars universe.
Sure is.
And Boba Fett was probably the most recognizable bounty hunter. Even though he gets fucking pieced out in the dumbest way ever. He falls into a Sarlacc pit and gets burped up. It's like, okay, that's fucking it for Boba Fett. But you love Boba Fett.
I do.
You saw him in the Clone War cartoons. He has some big scenes there. You know about him in the books and whatnot. You are a Boba Fett fan. And you've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
He showed up at Mandalorian and was like, whoa, what's Boba doing? How the fuck did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? That's what everyone wanted to know. In episode 1, Drop Tone, did we find out anything about Boba, or is this just another whatever Boba betrayal?
Oh, we definitely found.
Tone, I want you to tell the people why episode 1 specifically was so important to the Boba Fett character.
I'm going to start by prefacing this by saying this series, more than likely, is not made for you. And I mean that dead seriously. As a super fan of this character, as a person that's been a fan since Empire Strikes Back, since watching it over and over on a VHS tape, didn't have A New Hope, but when they finally put it on Syndicate on TV, we had taped it on our VCR, and I watched it nonstop. At that time, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I thought that Boba Fett was the son of Darth Vader because they had helmets and they looked similar or whatever, and I didn't understand Empire Strikes Back. I've been a fan that long, to the point where it became an issue with me and a friend who said, you know what, you can have my Boba Fett action figure, because he was giving me a Star Wars, because he was a rich kid or whatever, and he was giving me all of his, Star Wars action figures that he wasn't using or whatever, and he said, you want Boba Fett so bad, go get him. He tossed him down the stairways, and I never found that character, and then I bought him at Comic-Con, one of the original ones from Kenner, or from the early 80s, about 2 or 3 years ago, so I now actually own an original one. But this series is not, originally, especially the episode, is not made for casual fans of Star Wars. It just isn't. Now, casual fans can watch that's for sure. If you didn't like season 1, I don't give a shit. Because episode 1, had to happen specifically because we had to get the elephant out of a room. Now, as a longtime super fan of the first episode, of the character, we know in the 90s, when he saw a big boom in the mid-90s, through comics, Shadows of the Empire, things in that nature as well too, the books, we know and knew for a long time how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. And it's a really brilliant story. It's a trilogy of books, matter of fact. And they're really good, called The Bounty Hunter Wars. And for fans like me, we were like, okay, now that he's back, especially when you saw him in Mandalorian, and he knew right away in that first episode when you heard him walking up to Fennec, and I knew you heard the spurs clinking. I'm like, that's fucking Boba Fett. That's got to be Boba Fett. Nobody else does that, right? And it was done on purpose because, yes, it was Boba Fett. The character has literally created an entire race of people, the Mandalorians, because he was so iconic, created basically them creating Jango Fett at the time I was not a fan of when he was originally created in the Clone Wars. This character needed to have that first episode done because it was for people like me who were on edge, curious on how did our favorite character finally get brought into the fold through Mandalorian, how he got out of that Sarlacc pit. How did he fucking survive? How different is it going to be? I was on edge about it. I knew it wasn't going to be like the original, unfortunately, and it certainly isn't. However, this is fine. It still fits because at the end of the day, the character is still now back into the actual fold, and we can go forward with more tales of the character. So, you know what? It doesn't matter. But, again, if you didn't like the first episode, you had a problem with it, it was too slow for you, it doesn't matter. It wasn't for you. If you were at any time somebody who said that character is lame, he didn't do anything, he had 3 lines, or you trolled anybody like me, like I got for 30 or 40 years, guess what? This episode wasn't for you, and this series might not be for you. Now, I'm not saying you can't watch it, I can't tell your business, but it's not for you. I mean that dead serious. Now, That said, now that we moved away from the first episode, we got that out of the way. Finally, after 35, 40 years, we found out why the character still exists. Now we can move forward with how he's progressing forward. And we did in this episode. And now Mandalorian, we've talked about many times about how it really has taken a lot of, in Star Wars, takes a lot of inspiration from Kurosawa films, from Westerns, spaghetti Westerns. This episode really leaned heavily into Westerns and Western story, like character tropes and things in that nature, and it did a great job of it. What it did really, really well was really show Boba's growth, showed as a character why he wants to be somebody who wants to rule, not out of fear, but out of respect, because he had clarity when he was in that Sarlacc pit, when he was facing death, that he was looking down the same maw, no pun intended, that his dad was, which was a short lifespan because of the lifestyle he was living as a bounty hunter. So let's try the crime lord side of it. Let's try ruling a different way. He learned that because he was saved by a group of native people to the Dune Sea who brought him in and saved him and saw value in him. And he was able, through them, to find himself and what he wanted to do. It's really quite, this episode is really quite amazing storytelling. There wasn't a lot of huge Easter eggs in this. It was great because we saw a Wookiee character that was actually recently in some of the comics. Boba makes a comment to him because they recently met themselves in the comics. Mm-hmm. We saw some huts, which was really fucking awesome. Those were, I believe, CG, though. You could kind of tell those were a little bit more CG.
They were really good CG, much like
they were really good
the
CG.
thing they fight in the first one. What was that creature?
The Crate Dragon?
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Like the CG is really
Or in
good.
the first episode.
The first episode.
So a lot of people have issue with that because we thought maybe it'd be like a baby crate, and that's a whole new beast that now exists in Star Wars.
That looked really good.
It did look really good.
I almost wonder if some of it was practical. Like
it may have been because they leaned to a lot in practical with Mandalorian.
It looked
and Boba
really
Fett.
good.
So. But no, at the end of the day, this episode didn't have a lot of the normal Easter. Like Mandalorian was always chock full of Easter eggs.
Right.
This series really isn't leaning into a lot of that yet. They're really trying to dive and explore the character of Boba, and because we didn't have any background for him prior, and there wasn't a whole lot there, they lean into his childhood and where he was, and again of how we're going to move forward with this character. Prior to the series, they said it was supposed to be more like a kind of like a Godfather-ish kind of thing, and I don't know if we're there quite yet.
I think
we're laying the groundwork for that.
We're seeing all the different characters
because the criminal syndicate. The criminal syndicate. There's. I thought it was really great that when he helped the Tusken Raiders, and I'll talk about them more in a moment. When the train was going by, which I thought was really fucking neat, by the way. I saw those guys shooting. I'm like, are those pikes? Are those pikes in there? Because I couldn't get a really good look at them. Sure enough, they end up being pikes, which is a big callback to both the cartoon and to the Solo movie, actually, because even Boba says, hey, the spice mine's a Kessel. You're the Pikes. They run the spice mines of Kessel. If Jabba was alive, they wouldn't be doing that bullshit. And that's, I think, where he starts kind of piecing together of what he can do and what he can build, especially on Tatooine, because there is a power vacuum going on, clearly. And you see that with the conversation with the Hutt twins that come through as well, too. So, but no, I think outside of the fact, and as somebody who's a huge fan of Tusken Raiders, I don't like a lot of things Tatooine because it's overdone, I think, in the entire series, because that's where the Skywalker starts and it's still there.
It's like that one focal point.
It's just it's just over fucking done. So I'm kind of over Tatooine to a degree. That said, I love Tusken Raiders, and when we first saw this clan of them, I'm like, these don't look like normal Tusken Raiders. They got black in their clothes. There's something different about them. They seem more like structured in some way. And then you kind of find out towards the end, and I thought this was really great too, because in the original movies we were taught that the Tuskens were just basically animals. I mean,
they're like pirates, like they're raiders or pirates, like they're just uncontrollable.
Look what happens with Anakin in Attack of the Clones. That's when he first turns to the dark side. Yeah. He killed him and slaughtered because they're like animals, right?
Right.
However, in this one we find out that because we're learning more about them, you almost get this Dances with Wolves kind of feel out of it. That there's different clans of clearly Tusken Raiders, and these ones just want to protect the land that they've lived and protected on for many years in the Dune Sea. And they even mention how some of their clans are killers or do this, that, and the other. So it was really the first time in 30, 40 years that we saw them give the Tusken Raiders a humanity. Like, that was really wild to see that. And because of that, they help Boba kind of see a different light or see a different path that he can choose for his life. They kind of help him through that because, like you said earlier, at any time he could have pieced out that fucking village.
Oh,
he really could
yeah.
have. He might not be able to fight with a gaffy stick as well as them, but I'll tell you
he was
what,
doing pretty good on the train.
Yeah, he was doing pretty good on the train. So, but no, this episode was great because, you know, again, we didn't know anything about Boba for a long time, at least under Disney's banner.
Right.
Now we're able to, we got the big elephant out of the way. We got that out of the room. We know how he's back. Now the character can finally move forward. Again, that episode had to happen. Whether you liked it or did or not, doesn't fucking matter. It wasn't for you. That had to happen. This character has to move forward, and we needed to know why he's driving the direction that he is. And now we know why, which is because of this specific episode was because of the Tusken Raiders. And it's pretty neat because, like, again, you know, he's teaching Tusken Raiders to use some technology and things like that as well too. So, clearly I'm very excited about it. You know, and I want to see more and more. I don't know if it's only 6 episodes. I want to say it's only like 6 episodes. I might be more.
Oh, really?
I thought it was a short miniseries.
Oh.
I could be wrong. I really don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't looked at the list of it. I'm just kind of taking it as it comes. But I think we're going to start really diving into the crime syndicate side of it because the Pikes, for the record, is one of the big 2 or 3 crime syndicates in Star Wars. So now that he sent them in their direction, that you got to deal with the Hutts, the Pikes, and like Crimson Dawn or whatever I believe it is as well too. So this stuff's going to keep coming through, and like I said, I think it's going to get really, really crazy and really actiony. I think we're going to start seeing some interesting connect the dots Easter eggs and stuff like that as well too from some other characters from comics as well.
You know, I know you said you don't. It kind of, I don't want to say it annoys you, but you know, you kind of feel like Tatooine is kind of like played out in its part. But I also like that the thing that I like about this show is compared to Mandalorian, where you know Mando and Baby Yoda were bouncing all over the fucking galaxy. I mean, every episode they were on a different planet. This one seems like this is going to take place on Tatooine, which allows them to really build up these relationships and explore this crime to get a little bit better. It's going to be a better, more focused show as opposed to being like, you know, them running side quests. This is going to be a slowly evolving plot, you know, much like Godfather. It's going to see many parts are going to be moving and pieces are going to be moved around. It's going to be a much more focused experience as opposed to Mando, which again, I felt like in some episodes it was just like side quests.
It was kind of episodic. I think that's going to be that's a good point.
This feels like it's going to be more continuity. It's going to be more connection to every
a
episode.
bigger arc, whereas Mandalorian felt like it was a lot of side quests with a big arc and more like a cartoon.
Yeah, this is going to be more focused.
This will be a little bit more focused, and I think they're doing that because delicately, once again, this is a character that's polarizing. Now, he's well known and popular. Everybody knows who he is, but there's not a lot of us out there that are like super fans. There's super fans and fans, but I would say I'm quite beyond that, for fuck's sake. I had somebody actually mention the fact that they're like, "Oh, I see you had the Mandalorian skulls on your car." I'm like, you know what? About 3 years ago, you wouldn't even know what that fucking was.
Valid point.
And I'm cool with that. Like, I love that. Like, that's exciting because Mandalorians like brought people into that.
Yeah.
Mandalorians wouldn't even exist without Boba. Boba was the inspiration for all of that, and he said 3 fucking lines. So anybody that said he was lame, well, guess what? He created a lot of big fucking story arcs in the entire series, matter of fact. So
right. I wonder if George Lucas would have pieced him out that way if he knew he would have.
George Lucas said in the gallery of the show was that I am a gatekeeper on this one specifically, El Blanco. I don't normally always.
And he hates gatekeeping,
and I do not like gatekeeping. I don't think we're not friends on Facebook. I don't usually gatekeep, but this one I do gatekeep on. I take this very seriously. When you were trolled for a long time about this character specifically, I don't want to say bullied because I don't think that equates to that, but when you were shit on for 30, 40 years, even with adults that were Star Wars fans over this character, you're goddamn right I'm gatekeeping on it. This wasn't for you. Anyways.
Do you think fans of Jar Jar Binks will have this same redemption that you're having right now with Boba Fett?
Don't ever talk to me again.
I'm just asking. I'm sure there's probably a small group of people who think Jar Jar didn't get his fair shake, didn't get the time he deserved. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get a Jar Jar Disney Plus series that will flesh things out. Right. Give you an idea who he really is.
I still think we're going to get a cameo of him somewhere.
I fucking hope so, just for your sake.
I think we're gonna get something into it. And I hate the character and I hate what he did to Phantom Menace, and I even in the Clone Wars when he show up, you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, are we serious? I'm not opposed to him getting that callback because I like those. I like the full circles on that. So
it's almost like it's kind of like a self-aware nod joke. Like, oh, look, we know he was a mistake, but
in
hey,
Attack
look,
of the Clones,
he's
there's
a part of things.
There's a part where we're pretty sure he does a fourth wall troll and looks right at the camera in Attack of the Clones when he's told to, hey Jar Jar, I know you're probably busy. Let's keep the long-windedness to yourself. And it's like he looks at the fucking camera. Like, yeah, I know shit. So those were transitions. They are, matter of fact, in the first episode when the transition shows up, he's giving actually a Wookiee pelt to Boba Fett, who in the original trilogy had 2 braids of Wookiee fur on his arm. But transitions in Wookiees are sworn pretty much enemies. They'll fight each other and kill each other, usually when they see each other. So transitions. Bosk from the original trilogy is a transition.
Interesting. Interesting. But overall, you're happy with what we've gotten so far?
Yes, I'm happy. I could care less if anybody
I
else
like the
doesn't
first
like
one
it,
because I like look.
Yes,
I
Jay
thought
McKenzie.
Boba Fett was an interesting character, but again, I was like in the majority. I was like, man, he just got pieced out. I was like, whatever, and I wasn't fully invested in the Clone Wars, so I didn't really know how much time he got there.
A lot of background in Clone Wars.
A lot of background, and I respect that. But I mean, I was always fascinated with the bounty hunter. Plus, Boba Fett just looked fucking cool. So
that was a thing
even
for a lot
when
of
I was
people.
younger,
yeah.
I was like, man, that sucks. He got pieced off by getting, Han Solo hits his fucking jetpack. He flies in the pit, and I was like, oh, that's it for this dude.
And George, like we said in the gallery, yes, I think we kind of worked around that. George Lucas said, had he known how popular this character would have been, he wouldn't have done that like that. Now that might be just saying eating pie out of my ass or something like that, because I'm not the biggest George Lucas fan overall, but I do pay homage because he did create the Star Wars as well too. But he didn't also care about the characters like his fans did, and that's part of the problem. But Clone Wars does, yes, a good job of getting some background on Boba Fett. But outside of After Jedi, we still didn't have anything.
Right.
So you might have learned more then. And honestly, Clone Wars made it so I enjoyed the prequel. If it weren't for the Clone Wars, I wouldn't like the prequels as much as I do, because you get good fleshed out of like Anakin, you get more of the clones, and even some good Boba Fett story arcs as well too.
No,
so.
I love the like I said, anytime I get character development on a character that I'm fascinated with, but maybe I just don't have much information on, I'm all for it. I don't mind exposition as long as it's well done and they take their time with it. And then in the second episode, we get a little bit more of that. And I love how you said they humanize the Tusken Raidmen, or what Tusken
Raiders, yeah.
And then obviously the fucking train sequence was fucking an awesome action sequence that was pretty much, other than the fight with the crate, what is it? Who do they fight? What do they fight in the first one?
In Mandalorian?
No.
I don't even know what that.
Anyways,
fucking,
they fight that. That was like the one big sequence. The train sequence here was way more entertaining, way more high octane, and that was awesome. So I thought the second episode was better, just from a thrilling perspective. But the first episode was necessary, like you said, to give us like some background on like who the fuck this guy is that really didn't get that love in the trilogy.
And there's the joke out there Blanco mentioned about how Parks and Rec's actually
Patton Oswalt
thing. But to be fair, even though that kind of almost like scene for scene kind of that though too, but like we still don't know how he really kind of crawled out of it in the ODU books, except he just basically they were like, well, he's got Mandalorian armor on, he pretty much bombed and blew his way up out of there, and he was found in the sands, and Dengar found him and brought him back to health, and blah 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 blah. But I still wish they'd have gone on that route because it was really fucking cool. But
his hand on his hand was pretty dope though.
It was really fucking dope, and just seeing the character grow from that was so far has been pretty awesome.
So yes, really digging that. If you have watched the first 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, let us know in the comments what you think about it. We want to get your thoughts on it. Were you happy with the first episode? Were you happy you got the answers you were looking for? And are you more interested and fascinated by the character having watched that first episode? We want to get your thoughts on it. But Tone?
Yes.
Woo! That's it, dude.
That's it.
The first episode of 2022 is in the bag. We're done. That's it.
So,
dude, go.
I was just going to say, like, a new ride, new year. We're already planning kind of for the future. We're working on right now some possible partnerships as well too. Don't forget, we are going to be March 5th and 6th. Excuse me, if you're in the area, Tri-City area, or in Michigan, 5th and 6th, we got Midland Comic-Con. We're only just a few months short away from that. We are getting deep kind of in the planning and talks of that and the structure of that too. So if you're in the area or decide you want to come up, let us know, because we're definitely going to be there and definitely going to be doing live streams throughout Saturday and Sunday both. Boots is going to be there as well too. Drassen will be around somewhere. So we're really excited about that. That's coming up this spring as well too. And honestly, just continuing what we kind of said at the end of the last year, like, our growth really depends a lot of times on everybody here. You guys come in here constantly. We appreciate that. God damn, yeah, or no. We appreciate you guys being able to.
Please do it.
I'm not dressing up. No, it's stupid. I'm not dressing up like a dumb character that didn't exist in Mortal Kombat. Sorry. Please continue to like, share. Honestly, if you know somebody in your family, a friend, whoever it is that might enjoy our content, show us to them. Let them know that they can support us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wherever they want. Spotify, if you're on Spotify, if you listen to us on Spotify, iTunes. Honestly, if you can go on Spotify even right now, you got us on Spotify. Rate us. Give us if you like us and want to give us a 5-star, please do. If you don't, give us a reason why. Go on iTunes.
Send us some feedback.
Give us some feedback.
Let
things
us know,
like that.
man. We want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you. Whether or not we implement it depends on what time I wake up on a day. But honestly, just we love and appreciate all the support you guys do. But we want to continue. 2022, I think, is really kind of the year we want to really kind of talk about sponsorship, especially locally, partnerships, and then just kind of do our best to kind of take the lid off the pot and kind of blow up.
Take the show on the road, so to speak, too.
There you go. Yeah, that's kind of something that we still got up our sleeves as well, too. So
got a lot of things planned for 2022, and we just want to make it so
y'all
enjoy the content. We want to make a show that you guys are excited to tune into every week. Bounce around different places. Comic-Con's one thing. Doing live shows from local businesses that we appreciate, that we like to spend our time with, that we feel like they deserve, some limelight as well. That's the stuff what we want to do, man. So we really, really enjoy your support. We really enjoy everyone that's able to tune in live. We appreciate everyone that watches the VODs or listens on iTunes and Spotify. You are the fucking reason we do this. If y'all don't show up, if you don't support us, we don't do it. It's that simple. We want to create an environment where you guys and girls are a part of the conversation. We can sit there and say what we want about stuff, but it doesn't matter if we don't get your guys and girls' perspective. So we really appreciate each and every one of you that comes here to tell me how good looking I am, or tell Tone how shitty his opinion is. This show doesn't go anywhere without you guys and girls. So we really, really appreciate your support. 2022 is going to be a fucking dope year. We got a lot of kick-ass stuff planned. We're really excited about it. Get that B&B billboard on 75. Man, that'd be dope. Or y'all can just go to our store and just buy a shirt. That works too. A billboard's awesome. But y'all walking around with that B&B swag, drinking from that B&B mug, that's even more effective, believe it or not. But Tone, that's going to do it? Is that it? That's it. For Fanboytone, I'm TheDude79. Thank you so much for watching. And to close out the show, we have another track from Ant House Beats from the album Unleashed Theories, which goes live, is available next Friday, January 14th, Spotify, iTunes, fucking everywhere. Everywhere. You'll find his dope-ass music. Here's another track from his album. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Wednesday. Good night, everybody.